I mean, Landon just told a really great story. Chaz with the queen jack.
These guys are gambling. This is $500 in there. Some of these guys haven't looked at all.
2-3, the dirty diaper takes down $2,300.
Everyone is stunned.
$2,300.
What's up, guys? Getting a good game started here. We got me, Ethan, on the mic here with Paul Fig.
How are you doing, Ethan?
Doing
really
great.
excited to be here today. Oh, everybody's getting ready to get going.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fun one because we just upped the stakes. So the last few knockout tournaments that we've done, these are PKO, sit and goes, 9-handed. Last few have been $125 buy-ins. Now we're going up to $225, leading up to next week, in which we'll be doing an even higher stakes. I believe that's going to be $525. So it's going to be cool seeing how that goes through. We got a fun lineup here.
So tell us a little bit, Ethan, how this works. How does these bounty tournaments and these satellites work?
Yeah, so these tourneys specifically are actually something that I created. Drew initially was like, hey, we need a cool idea with sit and goes.
And I know you're the sit and go king.
Yeah, I definitely love sit and goes a lot. But Drew was, I thought it was such a great idea for stream. And then we were coming up with ideas of what could make it, unique. And I thought, PKO, I love bounty tournaments.
Why is the
really
bounty
fun.
tournament thing blowing up? We're having one here in December.
Yeah.
It's all bounty. The whole tournament is bounty related. It starts on December 9th, and it's going to go to the 18th. And there's plenty of satellites to get into the main. What is the attraction to these bounty tournaments all of a sudden?
Yeah, a lot of the fun of bounties is that you don't need to be, in the top 5 to make money. In fact, sometimes I've gone to make something like 6th place money, only getting to like 30th, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times, you can play aggressive, you can play, a lot more hands, you can see a lot more flops and be right, versus in tournament where a lot of the times what you're doing is like just a regular tournament, not bounty. A lot of the times you're trying to just gain the most amount of chips, which a lot of the times getting the most amount of chips means folding a lot, whereas in bounties you're going to see a lot more.
So a lot more aggressive play.
A lot more aggressive play, yeah. So the aggressive players are going to get rewarded for being aggressive a lot of the times. That's why this format can be a ton of fun, especially because each of them has their initial buy-in of $225, but they can rebuy if they'd like, or buy another life if they lose for another $200, and that's going to go again to the pool. And when someone knocks you out in this format, you're going to get $80 added to your stack and $80 in your pocket. So let's say someone knocks someone out, and then someone knocks out the person that has knocked out 2 or 3 people.
They get all their bounty.
They get all the bounty. So
wow, so you can make a lot of money just in the bounty portion of the event.
Yeah, and at the end of the tournament, when it comes to heads up, whoever is the winner is going to get the combined portion of their knockouts as well as the person that they knocked out, half of their knockouts.
So pretty much the whole field's bounties are in play all the way up to the end.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But again, you're still keeping half in your pocket as well.
Yeah, so you're getting an immediate gratification by winning that bounty.
Yeah.
Plus now you get a bigger target on your back as your bounties get bigger on the table.
Exactly.
So people are going to be gunning for you, maybe calling lighter because there's an opportunity to pick up that bounty.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's pretty fun because we have $80 towards the bounty pool.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's $200 buy-in, and the $120 goes towards regular prize pool. So the regular prize pool is going to be big as well. And there's no chopping in this.
Right, can't chop.
Yeah, top 3 pay 50%, 30%, 20%. So, they're going to be, depending on how this goes, depending on how many bounties you get, you really want to amass as many chips as you can, which is going to mean being very aggressive.
So you said something there about chopping. Explain what chopping means to us, us casual players. What does a chop mean?
So generally, a chop is just if you want to, if let's just say you get down to 3 people and you decide, hey, there's $3,000 in the prize pool, let's each of us take $1,000 instead of play for, 2,000.
Gotcha. So it basically is something that you could hedge your income on by getting a little more, and it's spread out over the players that are remaining.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And in this format again, so there's no chopping, but it's also really fun in terms of like speed. You don't have to play a whole tournaments. You might play 10, 11 hours to reach the same like ending. That in this case you still get kind of the middle ground between a cash and a tournament game, where it's still cash game basis. You only have 9 people. You can still rebuy. You can still kind of play it like a cash game, but also has that tournament idea of like, I need to be the one to win to make the most money.
Okay, so let's go through our lineup today. So in seat 1 is John George. He is a professional poker player here, lives in San Antonio. He is married with 2 children. Takes the game obviously very seriously since he makes it as a living. We have seat 2, Jason. Again, Jason is a regular here at Rounders. Seat 3 is going to be Joey. Seat 4 is Sal. I'm not too familiar with Sal. I know he's here, and I see him a lot at the cash game tables. And then we have Ed in seat 5. And seat 6 is that the open seat, or is that where Charity is? Charity in the game yet?
She was on her way.
She's on her way. So we have a seat that's going to be open. Then we have Maddie, and obviously Rudy. We call him Rudes. He's one of the announcers here at Rounders tonight. He does a fantastic job, but we got him in the mix. All right, cards are hitting the felt, so we're going to get right into it. So the blinds are 100, 100?
Yes, 100 to 100 with 100 big blind.
100 big blind ante. So explain that big blind ante to us. What does that do?
Yeah, so you'll have your general blinds, which are 100, but anyone who's on the big blind is going to pay an additional big blind, and that's to speed up the game.
That gets the action moving a little faster.
Yeah, so you're gonna be wanting to steal those blinds a lot more as they go up. Yeah, we're gonna see Ed raise starting off here with the 4s. A lot of the times you can just limp in with a hand like this when it comes early and you have a lot of big blinds, but as he's deep with the 200 big blinds, he can definitely raise it up and thin the field. And it looks like John defends here in the small blind.
Okay, so we got John defending in the small blind. Oh, we got a all spade flop. What's that called? I know you know it. Come on, teach us. What is all spades?
All spades.
A monotone?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there's actually a lot of debate of whether or not it's monotone or monochrome.
Yep. What is it?
So
you're the young guy. What do you call it?
I call it both.
Both? That's awesome.
If I can tilt someone by saying monochrome, you
can instead of monotone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
But yeah, I mean, nice takedown there. Good continuation bet. Although that flop is normally gonna actually favor John's range. Because a lot of the times, just when you're in the blinds, your range is gonna
be wider.
Very, very wide. We'll see. As right now, as the blinds are shorter, they're gonna be not as aggressive because there's not as much incentive to steal blinds at this point.
Okay, so Maddie's throwing in a $300 raise with her Jack 10 suited.
Yeah, and John defending here, he's going to want to just be calling almost like, I would say, almost 100% of your range. You want to be defending in the button at the very least. Does go with the call and the jacks, which since they're deeper, I'm fine with. And he's kind of, baiting in this spot.
You don't think that those jacks make you susceptible to any card coming over on the flop?
No, I'm not against. See, you're gonna get flops like this,
right,
where Maddie is gonna just be. Maddie is loving this flop,
right?
So, John is kind of trapping in a sense. He's both trapping and allowing himself to fold.
And why would John lead here with his 2s?
This is purely.
I mean, Jason. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jason. Jason is purely betting here as a range advantage. I believe he thinks that he's going to have a lot of the overpairs and overcards, so he can continue on a lot of turns. He's also giving himself a free turn a lot of the time, whereas if he checks, you never know how much Maddie's going to bet. This is actually an interesting turn because John George having played the jacks the way he did makes it to where his opponent's ranges are a lot wider, and because he actually has 2 jacks, he's blocking the most obvious straight draws, which are like pocket or Jack 9 and maybe even like Jack 7 of spades that might continue, but probably doesn't. This bet is a good one. You're definitely going to get, wow, we see a call from the 2s. Oh, an all-in. This all-in looks extremely strong. I think you just have to call it off if you're John.
Just the way you played it.
Yeah, but this is hard. Like, John has definitely put himself in a spot where calling is going to be really difficult. I think he ends up calling because it's a rebuy.
No,
wow.
he folded it.
And he shows the bluff. John, and that's a great, great recognition of like his range. Jason's range is definitely so condensed there, and like if we saw kings, queens, and aces the way that he played it.
So what does a condensed range mean?
Yeah, so basically once you make certain plays, you only allow yourself to have certain hands. So like, let's say someone never re-raises, right? And they only re-raise when they have good hands. Their range is gonna be consisting of only hands that are, let's just say someone shows that they will only raise like ace king plus every time. Then you know that they're only raising ace king plus every time. So their range is going to be really condensed, which just means, again, this is the only set of hands that they'll have in the spot. Whereas like John is kind of making it to where his range can contain anything from any situation because he's just calling. So maybe in the button he might call with a hand like 6-3 suited, the same that he'll call jacks. And because of that, his range is going to be a lot wider.
Makes sense. So what are we looking at here? We had ace 10 with Timmy. We got a call from John with
and this is
king
more
jack suited.
This is more what I was expecting when early game. You're just going to see a lot of hands getting in the mix. Queen 8 suited, pretty much a hand that you just call. And I'm not a big fan of this bet by Timmy. This flop never really hits his range. This flop's going to hit the small blind and the big blind's range because a lot of the time small blind, big blind are going to show up with hands like 7-6, like Queen 8 suited. And we're going to see a raise here. This raise is fine. I think when you're blocking the 7 of spades, you'd rather not. But if he's trying to deny equity from exactly what he's denying equity from, then that's good too. Does take it down. You can go either way with the 7-6 there. I prefer a lot of the times in the blinds just going for check call because you're just going to be in a lot of situations in which we just saw John just flat with the jacks, right?
You think he's regretting that now?
It's hard to say, right? Like we could see the cards and we can see that he got bluffed with the pocket 2s. But in game, if I were with jacks there and I saw Jason doing that play against me, I would definitely think that my jacks were no good.
Gotcha.
As played.
Makes sense.
But it's hard to say, right? Like, it's a bounty. The reason that Jason can do that is because he has those rebuys, right? So we don't know. Jason, we saw him on, if you had watched, or if anyone in the chat watched the stream that he played the cash game on, he was a lot tighter. So if I were to watch that cash game, which I'm sure John, being a pro, has probably seen that, and like looked at his opponents, what they're doing, I would definitely think, oh, he's on the tighter side. But people play differently in any scenario. You never know.
So George raises with ace 8.
Yeah. And George snap checking back, I would like to see, a little bit of thought. Something I don't like that people have been doing lately is just like snap check back. And a lot of the times
2s are going to take it down.
2s are going to take it down. A lot of times a bet would have worked there, or at least a bet continuation on the turn.
So you're saying a little more time in thought process before making your decisions is probably wise?
Definitely. I mean, when I play, I take as much time as I can. One, it allows you to think, okay, what is my range? What is my opponent's range? What would I continue betting here, and what would I not? What would I, But a lot of the times when you check, you don't allow yourself to think about that as much. I think actually what pros tend to do, and I've gotten into the situation too, is just start like, I'm so used to the muscle memory, so I'm gonna start. Oh, and we see a fold from fours on Rudy, very conservative fold. I would have liked to see a limp. People tend to think that limping strategies are bad, but really they're actually not that bad.
They're becoming
early
in
game.
vogue lately.
Yeah,
A lot of limping, donk leading.
limping is definitely a lot. At least with hands like fours, it is actually pretty good at deeper stacks.
All right, so Maddie's showing up here with aces. I mean, with eights.
With eights.
Eights.
But yeah, I mean, going back, muscle memory with like top players, and this is a good re-raise by Maddie. You can take it both ways. I think re-raises are good. I think, and we're gonna see a re-raise. Considering it's PKO, I would rather see a shove here by Maddie, even though they're really deep, just because you don't really want to play out of position. But wow. And we're gonna see
some fireworks now.
Yeah, we're going to see bets from Joey here almost 100%. I think he goes more on the 3.5K range. And this is something where Maddie can take it both ways. This is definitely 1.5. And she instantly shoves. I probably would.
Wouldn't you have trapped a little bit more here?
I would have trapped, but it looks like she does get called. I don't blame him. I would have liked just called, but honestly, I like both ways. If you're expecting that your opponent has like something along the lines of like queens, you definitely just want to call because you're going to be against like hands like ace jack and ace king a lot of the time that kind of need to get trapped a little more. But I think I would have liked from Maddie more like a min raise type play.
She's going to take it down with her eights.
Boats up.
And speaking of Maddie, she's a poker dealer here. Interviewed her a little bit before the stream. She has 2 children, and she is aspiring to be a poker professional. But she's only been playing for a couple years. She's getting some coaching, so it's really exciting to see women getting more into poker. And she's, learning, but putting a lot of time and effort into it. Her daughter's name is Claire, and her son's name is Walter. Mostly a tournament player, so she's starting to get her feet wet more in the cash game streets. She's young and hungry, and it's great to see that we're getting more women poker players into the community.
Yeah, definitely, and she's a really cool person. I mean, overall, she's someone that I've talked to a lot, someone really cool, and she's actually sitting right next to Tim, which they're dating right now, and it's actually pretty fun.
Oh, that can't be a good. They're next to each other, too? Oh, Lord.
Well, it's crazy because we did completely random seats, so it's funny.
Yes,
because
all the seats are random.
We actually had Jesse Sylvia and Ashley Sleeve sitting right next to each other.
That was in the big game.
Yeah.
Big cash game.
And we randomized those too, so it's pretty funny, So we're going to see Maddie defending here. Good hand to defend with. And we're probably going to see a defend from Timmy with the king 3 suited. These hands in the blinds, people tend to defend a little too much, but at this
stack depth, it's okay.
This stack deck, it's okay. It can definitely get you in rough spots, right? When it comes king high,
what do you do?
I mean, a lot of times you have to call when it comes king high. And this continuation by the 5s, he's kind of pot controlling, but I think we see these multi-way bets a little too much. Ooh, and Maddie would have seen a really good turn.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see Maddie maybe flat 1 street, but honestly, you can be up against 7, so any 7 a lot of the time. These stack depths are really hard to navigate. There's not a lot of study material on deeper stack. There is.
Yeah, I've noticed that it seems it's very limited. It's, down to, everybody seems to be concentrating on tournaments on the 20 big blinds, 30 big blind stacks, and then the super short, under 10 bigs playing them. But there's not a lot of, like you said, literature out there for the 100 big blind tournament stacks.
There is a lot of debate of whether or not it's super important to basically like early mid stages. There's a lot of debate on like what kind of practice you should be doing and how you should be playing. I've heard a lot of people saying that basically early and mid position tournaments you can play any strategy as long as you can. I mean, a lot of it comes muscle memory. You start learning like as you keep playing more, what's right and what's wrong, and then you can kind of make your bases based on things that you learn throughout your career.
So Rudy just flats with his 8s.
Yeah, and this is fine. Again, this is like very. I would have liked to see a raise. When you see someone with only 10K, you need to be trying to steal you need to be trying to take those bounties.
Mm-hmm.
It's important. You're gonna have to take flips, and you're gonna have to be okay with it. Versus like in this spot, he's basically saying I'm gonna fold on flops that I don't hit a set, or
Right.
he might continue for the 500. But if he sees another bet, it's gonna be really hard to continue.
Right. Mm-hmm. And like you said, everything is about bounties in this type of format.
Yeah, and this turn actually can get John. A lot of the times, is going to do more like overbet type space. So he's going to like 2K is something I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how much he goes for. He does go for a
pot size bet.
Yeah, this is something I was thinking he would go around. This is a great turn to do that. And if I was Rudy, I would raise it up here. The bounties are really important. I think that's something that people forget is that your equity doesn't just come from your actual hand equity.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from your fold equity, which just means the amount of times you can get your opponent to fold. Comes from your bounty equity, which a lot of the times just adds like sometimes even like 50 to 60% on.
And now we got that 9 on the river is changing. So that just switched it over to John being able to take this pot down.
Yeah, and what's funny is that this 9 lets him check a lot of the times, and he does do a check back. When you can check on this 9 because you get showdown value, you can definitely just you want to take in John's spot. A lot of what he wants to do now because he's lost so many chips is just gain enough to where he.
His stack means something again.
Yeah, he needs to be able to actually like get bounties. So a lot of the times you're going to see, especially a player as capable as John, you're going to see that he's just wanting to double up or at least get to a spot where he has at least like 4 or 5 people covered.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this spot right now, he's kind of desperate. That's why he had to make a play like the ace-9.
Right.
And it also depends, on buy-ins. How much are you coming in? How much do you want to do 3 buy-ins? Are you just wanting to do 1? Or are you just wanting to do 2?
So there's a lot of different strategies of how you manage your rebuys as well.
Yeah, I mean, my record for a PKO was 15 buy-ins.
15 buy-ins.
15 buy-ins.
Holy cow.
A lot of it is like I need to build up my stack because first place in a PKO ends up being a lot. First place for this one, if everyone were to rebuy, first place would be like 4K.
Wow, so it does add up.
Yeah. And we're going to see an ace-high flop. Again, Timmy going with kind of the same option. Timmy, another very established player in the community. Timmy going with the option of just calling with the ace-10, which is good. Ace-10 is a great hand. It's not really a great, like, super great hand. So I like the just call, especially when it's Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the check from Maddie.
She's got a gut shot.
Now, Maddie could go with a really good check raise here, but I like the just call as well. The problem can be that when you're just check calling, your range, again, is going to look a lot stronger when you have it and a lot weaker when you don't.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that pot's going to go to Timmy. So, Ethan, tell us a little bit about you. So what I know is that you are a professional poker player, and you've been doing this for a very long time. It's astounding that you started playing at 14 years old in home games and playing with the family and things of that nature. But you've been a sit-and-go specialist, so you really have a great feel for what these players are going through right now.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of, just like when I was starting, I actually had, so I was playing a couple video games professionally, I had a Hearthstone. I was top 40 in the world for Hearthstone.
Top 40 in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
That's incredible.
at the time, I actually met a bunch of poker pros through that because poker pros play Hearthstone a lot. And they were helping. One guy helped me. He was like, "Hey, here's $100. Play on poker on Global Poker, if y'all know the site." And I just was like, "Okay." And I was so used to playing tournaments through gaming. It's all tournaments. So I was like, "Oh, well, tournaments are what you would normally play, right?" That was just like my, my
Thought
idea.
process.
Yeah. And so I started just playing. I used my brother's license to play online.
We didn't hear that. This is not live. No, I'm saying.
But yeah, so I learned a lot. It was like a really fun process of that, and just like learning through mistakes. Went broke 3 times. Learning the ropes just like every other poker player does. And overall, I mean, it was great. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of learning processes. I met a lot of people, traveled with a lot of pros. Ooh, and we get a 3K bet here from John. I love this overbet. This overbet gets through a lot. Although Maddie, she's got those.
She's got that face looking like,
Like, well, this doesn't even make sense kind of face. Does
but
fold.
it gets through.
I like the overbet. This is why I played with John a bit. Very good player. Makes great decisions, great spots. I called him in a spot that I normally wouldn't call people because of his image, but I mean, he's very accomplished. I love the way he plays.
Seems like a real thinking player.
Very much so.
Not but more of the emotional. Seems more very math based.
No, yeah, for sure. And it's the thing about the just like math based portion of the game is that like a lot of people think that poker is kind of like this like math thing, and I don't want to play math. I just want to play by like reading people and stuff. And then they think like these people like me who are like nerds who just like look at math. But a lot of my game, the reason I love poker is like I love looking at how people are, how people's tendencies are, a lot of like what they're doing, not just like the math portion. And I mostly use math as like a way to kind of get used to, I guess, what to do with the tendencies that you learn from people. And Maddie's in this fun spot.
Yes, ace queen suited.
I would like to see a re-raise here from Maddie.
She re-raises. Her boyfriend might not be her boyfriend anymore.
Yeah, I was fine with the just call at first. You're gonna get a lot of flops like this where you're just gonna have to check fold because Timmy's always gonna be continuing with 100% of his range. Now this is a weird sizing. This would set my alarms off a bit. I like the sizing on a GTO level. I think on a 1v1 level, it gets a little different.
She's trying to analyze. You could see her. If you could see her face, she's trying to analyze. Okay, what is he doing here?
Yeah, what does this really? It's weird because a lot of these theories of like mathematical GTO, a lot of it doesn't work because the idea of GTO states basically I need my opponent to be playing the same way. Right. Yeah. And you kind of need to use like a basis of understanding of GTO and a basis of understanding of the game when you're making like these sizings that are general. Like he goes for a smaller sizing, which generally in 3-bet pots GTO does like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it keeps your range very wide. You could be 3-betting with any range of hands, and in his case, Jack 10 suited, which has a gutter, as well as, you can get your opponent to fold a lot of hands.
So everybody that is out in the chat, if you would do us a great favor and smash that like button, it really helps the stream out, helps build our viewership. We got George right now. Calls 1.4. Oh, we got an all-in. Jack 6 against Ace 5. Jack Ace 5 is at risk.
Ooh. Yeah, and this all in is really good by Sal. Ooh, and ace on the
Ace.
turn. Oh, well, he got the straight as well.
He got it all.
Yeah.
All right, I think our seat 7 has just arrived.
Yeah. Oh, and Charity. Awesome to see Charity.
Yep.
She's nice. She says she's going to WPT,
Yep. Yep.
so that's cool.
She's gearing up. Another prominent female in the poker community, which is great. And we have a lot of here at Round, a lot of female players here at Rounders, and they're very proficient at their play. So that's a good thing.
Even in the $100 rebuys we were doing, people had $200 and $300 at that. Oh, nice. He might change for 100. Probably has it as well. Yeah, you're getting 80 for a $200 buy-in. So. No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Welcome, Charity.
Thank you, John. How are you?
Yeah, we already got our one rebuy.
One rebuy in.
Yeah, and that's going to happen, with this PKO format. You're going to see it a lot where as the blinds go up, you're going to see a lot more aggressive play. I think we could have seen it a little more often even if Maddie were to go a little more aggressive in the hands that she's played, as well as if John had gone a little more aggressive in the hands that he played. But regardless, that's kind of the thing about blinds being so short is you're not sure if you should call like 10 to 12K because in theory it's like 100 blinds, but in actuality you got to be thinking, is my opponent thinking I have 200 blinds or are they thinking I have 10K in chips?
Right.
And that's actually a big thing that when I coach medium level players who are like they're like learning GTO and stuff and they're like studying that, but they don't know why they're losing. A lot of what I see is that they're taking in a lot of like mathematical formulas and seeing them as completely true. So they're being like, well, mathematically I should be betting here. And it's like, well, sometimes the game isn't about mathematics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times a lot of people can't see past that until like they kind of learn like, oh, it doesn't have to always be like that. We see it just call.
Raised by Tim with the queens, brings it in for 6. Sal's going to call
I see that.
in the small blind with his 8s.
A little harder now.
Yeah, and I like the call of just 8s, or just call of 8s. Like, we've actually seen it twice already. I think 8s is on the line where you can raise and you can just call.
Mm-hmm.
Out of position, I prefer to take more aggressive lines because you just don't usually want to have to see flops out of position. Problem is, if you hit, you're not getting enough value. Let's just say he had pocket 7s here. He has to go check call, check call, check call, or check call, check call, check raise.
So why would Sal take with his pair of 8s when there's an ace and a jack on the board? Why is he peeling one on the turn?
It's always good to peel in general. That's actually a really good thing that people don't do a lot, that GTO is very right on, which is GTO likes to take an almost 100% check line when you're in the blinds, because when you have really good hands, like let's just say his 8s for pocket 7s, he can play it in a way where he can check raise on later streets. Whereas with 8s, for example, he's getting a really good price to hit his set, and he's also getting a really good price to bluff. When he does check raise, he's going to have a lot less bluffs in his range. He's actually thinking here, I think he's thinking more on the line of, should I raise and try to like represent something since my opponent checked the turn? But he can definitely call with the check on the, oh, and he does call. I don't blame him. Your opponent can have a lot of bluffs here. Queens is definitely in the value bluff territory, otherwise known also as like thin value in this spot. And thin value is just when you don't have a super made hand, but you still think that your hand is better than your opponent's. Then you want to make hands that might think you're bluffing call small bets. And these are actually really strong. I think that's something that, when you're learning the game, when you're learning about what can edge out the money that you're winning and losing, definitely thin value bets are really good, because when we're talking about like long-term play, a lot of our play ends up being to where you might win like 55 to 60% of your sessions, and to combat like the losses, you really need to have those small spots that allow you to edge out just a little more
So
money.
you're keeping that edge.
Keeping that edge, yeah. So if you know how to get those small spots, those small edges, it's really big a lot of the time.
So we got ace jack against ace 10 here. Sal's going to get rid of the queen 8.
Yep, and Joey re-raising here. Joey actually has a starting stack here.
First time it was right. Yeah, second time.
So this is going to be interesting because John is going to be incentivized to shove this size of a stack a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I think out of position, I prefer shove against.
And I'm like, oh my god, how did you have aces in it?
But it's looking like he doesn't like the situation, which you can't blame him.
Does
go all in.
Does go all in, which is.
Maybe
And this spot is going to be really hard for Joey to call.
You're not supposed to.
But
He did.
I'm feeling the size of his re-raise is going to have to incentivize him too with the bounty.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about collecting those bounties with those marginal holdings. Sometimes you'll go for them just because of the bounty.
Yeah, and this is a particularly important spot to just call. The problem is, he just busted, so he's kind of like, man, my hand's not good. But in worst case scenario, you're normally like maybe 25% dog, which looks like he ended up folding. I'm not a big fan of the fold. I think with the bounty, you're incentivized more. Because even in this spot, you see he's 20%.
20, yeah.
Yeah, 20%, but that added bounty and the chip value makes it a lot more. So it probably adds around 10 to 15%.
So it does add that much.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Substantial.
Well, you got to think about not just the cash value, right? So like your buy-in is 200, so you're getting that initial 80 already.
Right.
So that cash value of 80 is half a stack. So when we're thinking about that, right? $200 buy-in, half of the stack is going towards you. Then that's essentially like an extra 10K in chips. If that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so that extra 10K in chips, you can essentially add, even though you don't see it as 10K chips, you're basically getting, you're getting 7.5K to win 20K in chips instead of just 10K.
2100.
Okay, so Charity has the ace 10. She's going to call. Ed's queen 10.
Oh, looks like she actually raises. I'm fine with taking a raise line here. And with John, I think John is, again, just going to want to shove in a spot like this, but he might just call. I don't blame him just to call either. I think with the dead money, I would prefer shove pre-flop. Does end up folding the flop. See what that is in a sec. Looks like Ed got something. She bet 3.5. Does call, and I saw a jack on the flop. So
did you see a jack?
Yeah.
A queen.
Oh, queen. Okay. So he does get the queen. Definitely a great spot to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of shutdowns by Charity here on the turn. I think he's just going to go check, bet, fold. And he shoves. Yeah.
You got it. How do you know these things? Oh, that's right. You're good.
Yeah, a lot of the times, I think people get these kind of leading ranges mixed up. Her range looks super strong there, for sure. But the thing is that there are flops like the queen high flop where, as a player, a lot of people forget, okay, when is my range condensed and when is it not?
So explain condensed range.
Yeah. So again, just like, what am I doing in, basically it's what am I doing in spots consistently and what am I doing in spots not consistently?
Ah, makes sense.
Right? So if I'm consistently re-raise c-betting then folding, then my opponent can pick up on I'm consistently re-raise c-bet then folding and exploit that. Versus like, let's just say she has aces and she plays that where she re-raises c-bets and then c-bets again, then you're going to know like, oh, okay, well, for the most part, she probably just has value here a lot of the time versus bluffs. So basically, the idea is like, if I don't have enough bluffs in my range in this spot, then I shouldn't try to bluff this spot as much, unless like for example, for me, I'm known as more of an aggressive player, so I'll take lines in which I'll use my value and play them the same way that I am my bluffs, and then
So you're throwing everyone off by playing that strategy.
yeah.
You're keeping people off balance of what you're doing.
I would have liked to see a bet from the ace. I get it though. He's probably afraid of the check raise from the
check raise.
jack. But we can kind of see the effects of checking back fast. Is if Tim had a jack in that spot, I think he would have thought a little longer. You know,
Yeah.
like not just on the river, but on like the turn even. Let's just say Tim had jack 10, for example, in that spot. So he had open-ended turn to pair. He probably would have played that pot a lot slower than with just a 10-8.
So timing is really super important, is what you're saying.
Super important. I've just in commentating. I mean, I've always looked at timing. I've always looked at stuff like that. I think tells aren't as important as timings.
So be consistent with your timing is a little coaching advice from Ethan.
Yeah, consistency is really important. The fact that there's literal like hour-long information panels on like timing tells online, in which people are doing even timing tells just using their time banks and stuff. Imagine where you can't even see someone and they have timing tells, right? So imagine how much that increases
in the live
arena. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're looking out for it, it can be really big.
Interesting. We haven't seen Rudy get involved too much. He's kind of being passive this afternoon.
Definitely.
He's usually very aggressive as well.
Yeah, and there could be a lot of things. I mean, sometimes, let's just say, like, you feel like there's a certain player or two that you feel you might want to target. Maybe you feel less involved, less important to be involved in certain pots.
He wasn't young when he was making all those moves.
Yeah, that was like the 8.
So we got Matt in the box right now. Matt's an accomplished dealer here at Rounders. Super nice guy. Very, very good dealer.
Yeah, we have a lot of really cool people here, just in general, working here.
I mean, he is a Chargers fan, so we have to have a problem with that, but it's okay. He's a big football fan, I know that. It's kind of cool that Rounders lets the guys wear, instead of their uniforms on Sunday, on football Sundays, they can wear their favorite jerseys, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right, so King 7.
Yeah, and I like this raise.
Good raise, yeah.
It's going to be...
Rudy's definitely going to make the call here.
Yeah.
And again, now this is the one here with John. Like he's thinking. What is he thinking here? He's got Queen 5 to a raise and a call.
It's important to just think about every situation.
So he's at that timing thing, I think. He's very consistent before he makes his moves.
It's important, yeah. I mean, when I raise, when I am thinking about folding, unless I have an extremely easy decision, I don't fold as fast. And with like even hands like Queen 5, blockers are really important in that you can use blockers like Queen 5. I mean, you don't really want to, but if you're thinking about it a little, it's still good to think about. It's good to always think about every move, but you can use blockers like the Queen too. And blockers just meaning there's 4 of every card in the deck, so you know that you have one of the 4.
So somebody else doesn't have the opportunity to have one of those because you have one.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to have
one. Makes great sense.
And because of that, you can use blockers like that. A lot of good players will use, for example, a hand like King 5 suited, not as the hand it is, but as the hand that it could be.
So the actions on charity. Rudy folds. Oh, here are the cards. Full waves to the flop.
Yeah, big lick. Oh, and this is an interesting flop. We got everyone with kind of like
A piece of it.
Yeah, we have a gutter here. Well, I guess just Jason and Sal. And interesting, John goes for a bet here.
There's that aggressiveness again.
Yeah, and it's it's likely to work out, not against Saul. But if he continues, it comes really hard because he will be just continuing here.
I mean, he's representing that he has an 8.
Yeah, and he can donk lead with some 8s. I don't
Mhm.
think you're going to really donk lead with a lot of 8s, but you can. So if you're allowing yourself to have the ability to lead here with 8s, then you're allowing yourself to do that in the future with 8 in a spot that's more like that's a little bigger.
Mhm.
Oh, and he actually beats he's going to check here. It's going to go check a lot of time or check call. John is going to call this river a lot. I would call anything up to 4K.
Or some music, maybe.
Yeah, and I think we're just going to see a lot of snap calls from John here. Does look like he put in call in chips. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's how you can tell he's an accomplished player. Making that snap call is very, it's easy to see when we're here and we can see that he has a 6. But in that spot, a lot of people are like, well, he probably has a jack, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is, we can't just be thinking he has a jack. We got to think about all the combinations that can continue, and there are so many. It's important to remember how many combinations of hands there are in poker.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying right now to learn to study the combinations. It seems like it's a big part of that middle player's game now.
Yeah.
I consider myself a recreational player, trying to learn a little bit more, and getting into that combinatrix and starting to learn where those combos are and how to find them.
Yeah.
is super important, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. I mean, this game is as easy as it is to learn, extremely hard to master.
There's so many nuances to the game, and then you get the players that, like yourself. I mean, you could have any 2 cards at any given time, and it's really hard to put really good players on certain ranges of hands, and that's what makes them great.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's important to have that ability to. A problem that you can get to, I think, as a pro player, though, is like you're seeing cards every day, all the time, and it can just get to a point where it's like, am I playing the way I should be playing? A lot of times, you might know how to play, but for me, for example, like I'm at a point right now where I'm like in game, and it can be a lot harder to like stick to the right things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, overall, like, if you can kind of get the rhythm down and you kind of get everything like memorized, you can end up playing really well and actually just like.
And it must be hard for players that are online players that see so many more hands. Then they go sit at a cash game table, and it's, you see an eighth of the amount of hands that you do online. So do you find yourself getting bored?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I was playing online, and
let's get this one. No, here we got pair of 9s with ace jack.
Yeah,
we don't want to miss this hand.
Yeah, and we see a lot of just calls. I think Maddie's taking 2. Maddie really wants to put more pressure on as she has a bigger stack. She really wants to be taking flips against hands versus like here you can see she has 27%, whereas she could probably thin that 27% down to like 50%.
Right, if she would have just tried to lessen the equity, so that her percentage would have gone up.
Yeah.
Less players in, your equity goes up.
Yeah, and even like position, like imagine she re-raised and Ed just called pre-flop. On this flop, Ed would have to check, right? So you're seeing 3 turns too, whereas in this spot, she just has to fold, and she has to give up like a really strong hand.
That makes great sense.
And it also, again, it goes back to that thing. Like if someone sees that you're just calling 9s there, then what are you raising with, right? Like, are you just raising with jacks?
Right.
Are you raising
and
with
then
10s?
you get put on that. You get put into that pot of, okay, they're only going to be 10s plus raising. They're gonna play passively instead of aggressively.
Yeah, and it can be, and we see a snap check back.
It's not Tampa Bay. That's
Yeah, I'm super interested with these snap checkbacks I'm seeing.
Oh, it is Tampa and Cleveland. Okay.
It becomes a little weirder when I see like pros do snap checkbacks.
Do you think they're doing that purposely?
No, I don't.
Oh, yep. There's Buccaneers jersey. I see it now.
I think it comes back to that thing, like you see so many hands.
Right. You start to become
Get 'em $2.
robotic.
Yeah, and you don't want to tank either. I mean, tanking kills the game, but, you know, just take a little bit of time.
Huh? Of what?
And Joey thinking he can call. It's not a terrible combination to call with here, but you are blocking a lot of the bluffs, which are going to come from like 8-6, 8-9 even. So it's hard for your opponent to have as many bluffs when you have this hand,
Uh-huh.
especially when you bet 4 or 5 way.
Mm-hmm.
That ends up making it where his bluffs are really hard to find in the spot.
Where were you? Really?
Yeah, and it's probably possible that his call-in range is a little too.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are bluffing too much. Sometimes people are calling too much. There's an equilibrium that you have to
Well, there was a lion.
kind of be on, where it's like you really don't want to be weighted one way or the other. And if a player is good, they can kind of pick up on that. Is my opponent calling too much, or is my opponent bluffing too much in these spots? And you can really like pick that apart. That's actually something I also like about playing against
Nice catch.
players who like play professionally or
Nice catch.
have like more knowledge on the game, is that they end up being so too knowledgeable
Right in front of you.
to the point that they end up leveling themselves into making calls that are bad.
Mm.
It's actually kind of funny. Like the better you get, it's kind of the
Yeah, outthink yourself.
yeah. There's the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is like, you know, you're constantly like, you get to one point, then you think you're really good, and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm not. Like, and then you get to another point where you kind of go down the slope of a mountain, and then you reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm actually not as good as I thought it was, and then you go back up the mountain, you're like, yeah, you know, I can basically rethink and think about the things I was learning when I was worse,
Right?
and use those the right way, and then capitalize on those.
Right? That does help.
I'm surprised we don't see a defend. I would like to see a lot of defends from the big blind. I think King 7 offsuit's definitely
Definitely
on
should
the
be in the
fence.
defending
You had
range.
the high card in, Timmy. I had 4 high.
9 times out of 10, you have me dominant. Destroyed.
How much of this right now do you feel that just the players are feeling out each other?
Hey, Timmy, can you change that?
It's hard to say. I mean, there is actually a lot of like
I swear I've
appearance tells even.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if someone's like appearing very like, let's just say someone comes in with like you know,
Oh, my bad.
let's just say they're not like put together and they put their chips like a certain way,
Right,
and
right.
like
Mhm.
you can actually take that as like maybe they're more like bluffy because
They're not
that's
organized.
like a personality.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
So
traits. Right.
so yeah, I think you can, if you're an experienced player, you know who's kind of like who looks put together in terms of that sense and
Mhm.
stuff. I would say like for me, it doesn't take me very long when I get to a table to figure out who I'm targeting and who I'm like.
Mhm.
But it depends. I mean, it really depends on what your strategy is. Is my strategy to get to the point where I have 30 to 40 big blinds, so I feel more comfortable in that spot, versus do I feel more comfortable in a spot where I'm 100 big blinds deep? Do I want to like put on the gas as fast as possible? A lot of people have different ideas on that.
No.
And this is an interesting spot because a lot of the flops that Timmy wants are actually going to hit
Right. Edge range.
Ed's range, yeah.
Go ahead and check.
So we can see a really
Card's not scanning?
interesting
'Cause I
spot.
left it sitting.
Ed with the check in the dark.
There's check, check.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Dude got an armor on his neck.
Yeah, I think I would like to see a bet here from Timmy. I'd go somewhere on the bigger side. And he does check back again. Wow.
It's not like usually Tim's not that passive usually.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at the checks I've seen from Tim.
My card's the one that's not scanning. Is that why you put Sam?
I'd like to see bets. I think that flop really just hits him a lot from him opening middle position.
I understand that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And that's kind of the timing thing, right? He just check.
Right.
That's fast. No, like
Thought
thinking there.
process, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's easy for us. We're looking at the cards. We're not in the game.
Yeah, I would say specifically when you're early position against big blinds range, you definitely want to be betting there.
Guy got really smart one time.
I would have done something along the lines of like half pot to overbet on the turn.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's the one who was the aggressor by opening the pot.
Yeah.
You know, and then there was a flop that definitely I would say helped his range compared to the calling range.
Definitely.
But maybe he has a read that, you know, on that player that we don't, or we're not thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and that could always be
Because
a thing
that's
too.
definitely a trapping hand as well. And he only had 9 high.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it can happen. Like the other day, I was bluffing John George, for example, and I went for an overbet on the turn. I bet flop and then went overbet on turn. He called me with pocket fours on pocket four.
There you go.
He called me with pocket fours in a spot that, you know, not many people would. So that can happen a lot for sure. Oh, and this is interesting. I'm interested to see how Jason plays this one.
Mm-hmm. He 3-bet to 3K.
Yeah, I like
Joey's going to get out of the way.
Yeah, I like the fold from the ace-5 there.
Ace-7 is out of the way.
Ooh, and we see a just call from Charity. This makes it, this is a great spot for John to shove. But he does just want to go for the set trap. I don't blame him. I would like, with all the dead money, to just shove it in and rebuy.
Mm-hmm. Because that dead money is very valuable, right?
Insanely valuable. In this spot, he would pick up almost half his stack worth. Now he can't really continue.
Right, now he's just stuck.
And he actually has the best hand right now, which is the funny part.
But you would never know that with all the players in the pot. You have to figure somebody's got a pair with 4 players in the pot.
Oh, and this is an insane turn.
Mm-hmm.
This turn, and we do see just a check back.
And not one player has a heart.
Wow, and the 9's going to take it. This is a spot that a lot of these players could have taken this pot down if they played differently. But, you know, regardless, sometimes you don't want to take too many risks, especially 4-way. Probably would have ended up being the same thing regardless, though.
Mm-hmm. Charity's going to take it down.
Although we do see if John had shoved, he probably would have doubled up here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, almost tripled up.
Right, and that's what you were saying.
Yeah, because I don't think Charity would have called an all-in with the Queen-9. But who knows? Maybe she would.
I'm just making sure that the stream can see it.
So do you have any big tournaments coming up or anything that you're going to be playing?
Probably not. I'm right now I'm taking a break. The last year I had a pretty long story, but just like a lot of stuff going on in my life outside of poker that ended up making me do a lot of stuff that in poker that, you know, just not playing well and stuff.
You still taking on some coaching students right now, or?
Yeah, I mean, I still coach people. I still sort of play.
I mean, you're around the game all the time.
Yeah, every day pretty much. Regardless, you know, I haven't played in like 3 or 4 months, and I still get my free comps at Aria and stuff. Still going out.
Yeah,
to
of course.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Poor Rudy hasn't been able to get in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been tight
Card
in some
dead
spots.
too, and
He's been pretty tight in some spots, folding in spots. We're not re-raising the spots that I would expect.
mm-hmm.
How you do that? I don't know. It's the second card off is supposed to be misty. You know that. I trust him, but you can't. Nope.
Yeah, it looks like we just had a little
hiccup here with the stealing.
happens.
Oh, from steal. Yep, just a little hiccup.
But, I mean, the guy can't.
I trust him, but you can't just let a guy pick a spot.
You can't do that.
Yeah, my other card was a red king.
So Chris is now back in the box. Obviously, Chris is a huge Cowboy fan.
Right.
Anytime you open your mouth, it's something about the Cowboys with Chris.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Like if
but-
you're returning a card.
Yeah, we got a really cool lineup here just in general. I mean, a lot of cool people. These are a lot of people that I see a lot when I did play a bunch, and it's nice to always see just like people who are regulars, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had a monster. I'm just saying. Unless it's a live.
But yeah, coming out to Rounders, guys. We're gonna have one $525 version of this next week, so get on the list for that. That's gonna be fun.
That's going to be a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's no joke prize pool there. So John's got threes. Raises up to 1,000. Charity's reaching for chips. Not really sure what. Oh, she's got
Yep.
king nine. She's gonna.
Wow, and Charity getting in the mix
She's
here.
aggressive.
Yeah, I'm very much surprised at how aggressive she's been. I like it though.
I believe what the last melee we did, she won it.
She got second.
Second, yeah.
She got second to John George actually.
Mhm.
Ooh, and this is gonna hit John a lot more. When she checks back, I'd like to see a bet here from John now. You really want to deny equity.
Yep.
Pot wise, I would have liked the shove. But 3K is fine. I don't think you really want to be called with threes. I would have rather just seen a shove pre-flop.
Right to take it down right then and there.
Yeah, threes is one of those hands that when you're this like shallow, you really just don't want to be seeing a flop. You either want to be shove or folding a lot of the time, or just not raising. You can like limp call, limp shove, limp fold, but really you just don't want to be. If you get called on that turn, you're never really happy.
Yeah, no.
There's just a lot of cards that end up making it to where you gotta check river and check fold, or even just like check and then you just take down 13K instead of taking down like, you know, taking it down a little easier. Generally, you want to try to take as many pots as you can without having any resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're laying a hand like King 9, which practically is like being against Ace King, you know, in this case, because he's, you know, pretty much flipping with every hand, if not dead to a lot. So, yeah, generally those threes and twos, threes, fours, fives, they're really hard to play in terms of like the strategy behind them. You can take them a lot of different ways, but those are definitely one of the more like advanced.
My life is stressful. It's hard.
And we see Maddie again just calling with the nines.
You know, my life would be easy, but it's stressful.
Still a little too
Passive
here. You
She
can
has
see that
position, too.
you can see that she was up to like 34K and now she's down to 22.7, which is actually really important because it's like now, you know, let's say she doesn't hit this flop,
They do everything they
she's
can
not
to
going to
try
get
put me in jail. I gotta
the
fork
ability
out
to actually like
every couple months with some bullshit all the time.
kind of like
They're finding new ways to throw me
get a
out.
lot of value. And oh, and Charity hits top two pair.
I gotta fork out like 7,000 by the 20. By the, no.
Yeah, so now she's going to have to fold, and now there's like 3 or 4 people that have her covered, which long term, again, this is going to be bad for her.
And yep, she folds.
No.
Yeah, you can see that most of the time Maddie has just kind of, she went from 35 to 22 because she was kind of just calling instead of re-raising a lot of these spots. And that's fine, you know, she also just has gotten some bad flops, but a lot of the times those kind of spots can be pretty bad. I think a lot of people do it where they just kind of call instead of raise. But raising's really good, y'all. Like, raising, as people think that raising ends up making the pot bloated, but a lot of time what raising does actually lets you control the pot. So
Unless
you
you
can
check
choose.
the next street, too,
Yeah,
if you're in position.
exactly. So, like,
So you're putting in one big bet now, but you're actually being able to break that bet into two if you can check on the next street.
yeah, and you're allowing yourself to dictate those spots. You're allowing yourself to dictate value or bluff versus allowing your opponent to dictate. Let's just say Charity in that spot had like Queen 9, for example, instead of King 10. Obviously, she flopped top 2, but let's just say she had Queen 9. She wouldn't be in a spot where she just has to fold to the Queen 9 or fold to the Queen 8, whatever it may be. Instead, she could dictate exactly how the hand would play out.
All right, we got Rudy in a pot now.
Yeah, and Rudy calling with the King 10.
King 10 hits top pair.
Ooh, interesting flop. Because John is definitely going to have the range advantage on this flop.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see a lead by Rudy.
1500.
I'm
Yeah.
not a big
The
fan
judge
of
doesn't like
leading
me
in this
because-
spot, but I definitely understand. Gets called.
I don't know his name.
Would you have gone for a check raise?
Yeah, generally you really want to be checking a lot of the time when you're in the blinds to the initial raiser.
Even with the top pair?
Yeah, even with top pair. You want your opponent to be bluffing. You do not want, you have king 10. Your hand is extremely strong. You don't want your opponent to be getting, free, 1500, they're pretty much getting a free turn a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
Whereas, like, in this case, like, you allow your opponent to play perfectly against you when you bet like that. You allow them to only raise with their amazing hands and only call with their mediocre hands. And also, like, trap you because now your opponent, let's just say John George had middle set. He could just, like,
I started playing poker.
he could just call the flop and then jam the turn.
So why with his 7-6 now would
I had over 200
he jammed, Rudy called.
It's one because of the stack sizes and two because of the range advantage. Your opponent's going to have a lot more diamond draws than they are going to have king 10 here. For me, if I was in this spot, I would think, okay, I don't think Rudy's just going to lead with the king 10 because I would expect him to be like,
Yeah, that does a little bit.
again, let's just say John had 7-10 or 5-7 or pocket fives. He could just always call the flop, knowing that his opponent is always going to bet the turn.
Right.
Because let's say instead, like, he has pocket fives there. If he raises, he's going to accomplish the same thing of letting his opponent bet as he is with raising. Because either way, he wants to get it all in.
Yep. So his goal is at the end to have it all in.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And if the goal is letting your opponent bet out of position, then you can just take that. And
Right, just let him.
and that bet, that leading, allows him to play perfectly in that sense.
Makes sense.
Because he can always just check call, check raise all in.
So you guys, how do you not watch the stream? Look at all the information you're getting.
tells me this guy.
Unbelievable coaching, and you didn't have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
smash that like button.
And I think that jam was also just like, okay, I think Rudy's going to be doing this with like 8-9 or diamond draws, which I probably would be thinking the same thing when I see the lead.
It's one thing I'm going to expect.
Because you don't think he's leading with the top pair.
Yeah, because it really pot commits Rudy, where, like, again, you saw Rudy had to call.
Right, he had to.
Yeah, and a lot of the times Rudy can just be dead there.
So really an important thing for us novice players is to be aware of our opponent's chip stacks.
Yeah,
Because if the pot odds are right, they got to just call. They have to.
yeah,
So you're not really putting them to a tough decision because it's almost a no-brainer.
yeah. So, like, imagine John did have a flush draw there, right? John is pretty much getting, like, full price to just see his flush draws.
Right.
Like, super.
See all 5 cards.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
Whereas if, like, let's just say Rudy checked, John checked, Tim bets, Rudy re-raises with the check raise.
Right.
John can't really
Can't.
continue with a lot. He has to shove his flush draws.
And
or-
hope.
Yeah, and hope.
And hope.
Yeah.
Right.
But it did end up working out in that spot.
Right. So stack sizes are super important, especially in this format, because the stack sizes fluctuate
Yeah, the stack sizes are
as the
insane.
blinds go up and down.
I mean, when we look at, like, John, for example, which I believe he had a little more left over after that hand, now it's like the equity that you're getting to get everyone to fold and steal his bounty is huge.
Right.
Because I do believe he has about, like, 1,000 left. So now, like, I would get aggressive with every hand. Like 9-7, I would shove here under the gun, for example.
Right.
Well, not shove, but I'd go really big. In this lineup, I don't think you really need to shove because it looks like people are a little tighter. But, like, late position Timmy with the A6, he
Right.
really wants to go a lot bigger because
He wants to put pressure on those other stacks.
yeah, he wants to put pressure on John because John is going to shove here with a lot
Right.
of hands.
Because he has to.
Yeah.
Right.
So now in this spot, someone like Jason is getting so much value to just flat here and hope that Timmy flats. Whereas, like, if Timmy were to go, like, 4K, there's not many hands that can call. And with Joey's stack, Joey might, shove here. He might say, okay, the worthiness. Yeah.
And he did.
And here's the thing. Now Timmy's in this really rough spot.
Right, now
because
he's
of
in,
this,
yep. Now he's got to be in the pickle trying to figure out, okay,
Yeah, I mean, he's getting right now 4-1. He needs to call. Again, he's getting 4-1 because the value of both of these
Plus the bounties.
Yeah, these bounties are each worth 10K in chips essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting 11K to call.
You can tell he's really going into. He's doing the math, going. I almost have to call this, but something's telling him to fold.
Yeah, and this is a mistake on the sizing, the raise sizing. I understand it though. You know, a lot of times he might be more used to playing tourneys and not bounty tourneys, and it's definitely like a math equation that people don't know enough of, which is tourney bounty math equation. Ooh, does make a lay down there, and he's gonna see the bad news.
Yeah.
Oh, we had the same hand.
He loves hearing that.
Okay, yeah.
He loves hearing.
I mean, if you look at it, Joey's only a 42% dog. So
Well, just for reference, Joey would be shoving 4-5 suited there,
Oh, yeah?
3-6,
Absolutely.
3-5. So like your ace-6 is a lot stronger than you think it is a lot of the time.
I mean, there's so much money in the pot and the bounties.
Yeah, and now I mean he loses 1.1K and probably what could have been 2 bounties, but
Oh my.
ooh, but straight does get there.
There's those runner cards.
Worst beat I've ever taken.
Yeah, okay.
Brutal.
In a $200 tournament.
But if Tim had just shoved in that spot, you're gonna see a lot of folds from the small blind.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even like what is Jason gonna call 5s for all in there? No, right?
No.
And if he does, you're never in a bad shape with
Right.
the ace-6.
Exactly.
What's that? You said call 30 seconds.
All right, so we're gonna rebuy here.
Right now.
I see a little unicorn coming into the pot.
I'm glad to
Those are our rebuy unicorns. Everyone gets 2 to use throughout the tournament.
Joey, did you think about his bet size?
Chris is going to get him another stack. Some more rebuy bounty chips.
I'm like burning up, but you're cold. That's fine.
And you'll see as we go on further and further, those bounty chips on the table will get larger and larger. And you look across and you see $500 bounty. It's
Yeah, no, it's gonna get crazy. I mean, now, you know, we really think about the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if someone's bounty is worth 10K in chips, essentially, right? Then if someone has a double bounty, their bounty worth goes up to like 15K.
Right.
I mean, it's not exactly 20K,
It's close, right.
but
Mm-hmm.
so then you're adding an extra like 15K in chips in terms of like what you're
What that
calling.
stack's worth, yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all invited me on here because y'all thought you were going to see quality kids. I'm sorry y'all made that mistake.
because essentially, if you were to knock out Sal right now, or is it?
I don't know you, but you seem like a cool enough guy I can joke with you. We found that out.
Or if you knock out, I believe it's Sal.
Yeah.
Saying I played.
Yeah, Sal has
I do like the floor bet.
The 2
the
bounties,
2
right?
bounties, yeah.
But if you knock out Sal with the 2 bounties, you end up making, you know, essentially 15K in chips, which ends up being super important for people who have bigger stacks. So you end up getting his 22K plus the 15K in equity, and you can actually like be a little more risk heavy with that.
Right.
Dude, I had a guy.
Like if I were Jason, for example, with the 7-6, I'd be super aggro. And you can see, you know, even John is betting the 1K. Oh yeah, no, Joey was the one who got the second bounty.
It's the second bounty.
And Joey having 15K ends up being that John is opening this queen deuce suited because of that. Wow, and what a flop. This flop hits everyone here. John is most likely going to get a pretty big stack here. I think we're going to see a lot of re-raises from
There it is.
Jason. And Jason's drawing dead against queen deuce. So I think we're going to see...
He thinks he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of shoves here from Sal. I mean, Sal's open-ended.
Yeah. He wants to block that flush.
He's also just stack-wise. He only has a shove or fold here.
Right.
He's looking at it. He's wondering if he wants to take the risk.
But isn't this the time to take that risk?
It's close. I mean, you don't know if your outs are like good or not. Oh, we see a snap call. John's gonna see he's drawing dead.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
He needs a
Backdoor straight
red
pot.
6
That's
or a
nice.
red
Wow.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs red.
Yeah, you're in trouble down there.
8 of spades. 8 of spades. 8 of spades.
He wants the 8 of
Yeah.
calling for the 8 of spades.
19.
Ouch.
A red card quarters then?
Yeah, and you can't blame the fold from the Jack 10. You don't know if
No.
your outs are live or not.
Exactly.
Into this spot, he would have seen
There's
his
the
outs. There.
7.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's the one card that.
That's the one card.
Oh
Hey,
my god.
the 6. Oh, man.
That's 4%.
Yeah, 4%.
Oh my God.
Wow. Okay, I was wrong. He wasn't drawing dead.
Yeah. Well, likely dead, but that's poker.
That's crazy.
That is the part of this game that is unsolvable.
But you see, you know, John's a pro. He's been here.
Yeah.
He knows.
He just digs back in his pocket, grabs another buy-in.
You know, he's laughing, but
Yeah.
you know he's a little dead inside after
Yeah,
that.
anybody, 4%. You're thinking to yourself, wow, 4%. I'm good here.
Yeah, I mean, practically drawing dead. He needed the runner. His percent goes up to 12% on the turn. I need to use the restroom real quick, y'all.
I think first is looking a lot easier for me today.
Well, I went from thinking.
All right, so while Ethan's stepping out for a quick second, we're going to continue the action. Again, don't forget the tournaments that are coming up here at Rounders. We're going to have in December a big event, bounty event. Again, everybody loves these bounty structure, which is something that's super important. We're going to have the holiday bounty December 9th through December 18th, I believe. Satellites running all the time consistently throughout. Buy-ins will be $300, which is very affordable, and 200K guaranteed. So let's get back to the action now. We're going to have Charity's going to fold.
Yeah, like literally.
You like getting in those spots.
Folds around to Maddie. Maddie's making her decision. Folds her king 9. Timothy gets out with his king 6. Rudy's looking down. He's thinking about his pair of 2s. Now this is an interesting spot for him. Oh, he gets rid of them. That might have been a place to take advantage of the blinds.
I shouldn't bust your stones with my big blind.
Jason folds his 8-8 to the button. Joey's going to get out of the way, so now we're going to have blind against blind.
He couldn't possibly have expected to
Sal in the big blind, looking down at queen 4.
I wouldn't have expected him to have
He's gonna call. Big blind Ed is gonna call. Gonna go heads up to the flop.
Sometimes you gotta get lucky.
What do we see on the flop? We got queen,
six, you're
so
lucky, but you still
top
got
pair
lucky.
for Sal. Not a real great draw for
Just get lucky.
Ed. Sal's gonna lead out. Ed's probably gonna get out of the way here. Yes, he does. He folds, gets out of the way, and we're gonna be moving on to the next hand.
Runner to a bigger full house. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, definitely come out and join us for the bounty tournaments at Rounders. Satellites are $25, so you can get into this event for a $25 initial buy-in. You get 12,000 in chips, 10-minute levels, so it's like a turbo, goes really quickly.
We haven't had a match.
And they're going to be running on December 6th. We'll start it off on Friday at 2 o'clock will be a satellite. Saturday, 2 o'clock, we'll have some satellites. Sunday, satellites.
I'm in for 185 now.
So there's plenty of action here at Rounders. Again, don't remember the bar and grill. Fantastic food here. Golf simulators, barbershop, massage girls on staff all the time. So really, really great place to come and hang out, have a nice meal, play a little cards, bring a friend with you, get them signed up.
Sorry, I was focused on
And
trying to
so
figure out
Joey's
what
looking down. A pair of kings. So Joey's got a big hand. 600. He raises it up. Raises it up to 1.7.
You can have my
And he is going to take it down uncontested. He's got to feel a little gross having those kings with no action. Sometimes that's just the worst. You have a monster hand. You make a little min raise and everybody folds. But part of the game.
Oh, you're good. You're live.
And my partner's coming back, and he'll be here in a second.
All right. What's
There we
up,
go.
guys?
He's back. Now I don't have to talk about poker anymore. That's fantastic.
The funny thing is that Ray's looking at one.
I have my expert back in the booth with me.
Did I miss any good action?
We just nothing really, nothing to speak about. We had a nice hand of kings, but it went uncontested. Joey's going to fold. Sal folds.
Yeah, we see position raise. You do want to be raising a lot of hands here. It does have king 5 off.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the level of raising that you want to be doing on the button is very high. And Maddie, you know, as she's dwindled down a bit, she's in a spot where she can't really get any bounties right now.
Right.
So
She's in that no man's land.
Yeah. So if I were her and I was looking back, I would just say, like, you know, you want to be raising a little more.
It seems that a lot of us newer players, that nuance of raising is something that needs to be learned and taught. Because I watch you guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the most obscure hand you're doing it with at times, but it's not about the cards. It's about your stack sizes, your positions, how you feel the player that you're raising is going to react.
Something I tell people a lot is there was a player by the name of, and she shoves here. Oh, she looks like she wants to. Now, a shove, I think, might work, actually. It'd be a good time for her to use her image, for sure. But I'd be very surprised. But yeah, so something I tell players a lot, newer players coming in, is Oberstrand, I believe it was Anna Oberstrand.
Mm-hmm.
She was a player, very good player. And when she was 18, she won the WSOP Europe.
Right.
And she actually did a tournament online. She wanted to prove to people, hey, look, it's not about the cards you have. She won a tournament.
Playing every hand
Covered up. She couldn't see any of her hands.
Mm-hmm.
Just full bet sizing.
Right, and that's online, which is hard.
Yeah. So I always try to tell people, like, I hear it all the time. You know, sometimes I'll coach people, and other times people will try to get coaching, but they'll just send me bad beat stories.
Mm.
And the end of the day, all you can do is realize you're gonna have bad beats.
Right.
It's poker.
Get over it at this point.
Yeah, you're gonna be in this spot as
exactly.
John.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is a rough spot for John, specifically because he has A6 suited and it's a bounty format.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he might still be thinking about the 7-6 of clubs, of spades hand. He also might be thinking about the twos hand, in which if he had called, he'd be up with buyin.
And all those things come into play.
Oh, a ton. I mean, those are huge. They come into play even when I'm playing. I will tilt off, and I'll be like, dang, like, now I just want to outplay my opponent. And, like, at the end of the day, you outplay your opponent, but sometimes it doesn't mean raising.
Give us some advice why they're shuffling this. How do you tell the average player who starts a tournament and he runs up a monster stack, and then by the end of late reg, he's back to average stack? What are we doing wrong in that position? Are we not staying aggressive? Or are we trying to protect something we shouldn't be protecting?
There are a lot of things. So, like, it's hard to say, right? I guess a good example would be I was playing a main event last year at the Lodge, and I had like 500K at 200K average, and this is a main event.
Right,
you know?
so you're just
so cruising.
Cruising.
I ended up not making it to day 2.
Yeah, how did that, like?
Well, for instance, I had a spot with Ace King suited that I was trying to bluff, and ended up getting called by a hand that.
Oh, wait, let's go jump into this. We got Ace Queen
against
against Charity's Jacks. We'll get back to that story because I want to get the end of it.
And I again, this kind of goes to timing tell. If you see a player re-raise you that fast, do you really? And Ed's just gonna fold.
Yeah, because it was too strong. She just got it in so fast. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start noticing that more myself when I play.
Yeah.
So finish your story.
Well, yeah. So, you know, I tried to bluff someone off of queens, didn't work, and it probably would have worked like 35% of the time, and I only needed it to work 29% of the time in the spot.
A playable.
So a play, yeah. But the thing is, it didn't work out.
Right.
And that's something that people need to remember is like, I used to travel with pros that are really like high level. I used to talk with pros who are very high level, still do, and a lot of these pros who are playing tournaments I mean, I won't say names, but I'm talking about pros that you see on TV. Guys
Oh yeah,
who
you're
are
in that
crushers.
community for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still. I have some friends who are down like $500,000 for 1 year because
Oh, of
they're
course.
because
Yeah.
they're tournament pros, and they're playing these games, and that's $500,000 that they're working for a whole year and
Right.
losing.
Correct. So they made no income.
But they understand that all they need is that one bink.
Correct.
So it's actually really big bankroll management, knowing these kind of things can take time.
So now here's Ed with his sixes. So he
Yeah.
raises. Charity just calls a 3-bet with ace-6.
Oh no, she
She 3-bet with ace-6.
Yeah. Ooh, and Maddie just getting in the mix here. This is another mistake that players make is she should really just fold the king-jack here.
To a raise and a 3-bet.
Yeah, to raise in the 3-bet, but it's fine. I see this a lot. She's not in a terrible spot. If she feels like Ed will just call behind, it's kind of okay, but you really just want to almost always be the aggressor. Being the aggressor can be really important. And if you watch the stream that we did the other day with Jesse and all that, you could see a lot of the good players and we see Charity snap check. Wow. And this is an interesting turn.
It's very close.
Yeah, and try to see if you can see timing tells. It's always fun to look at.
Yeah.
But they can be really big.
So now what is Maddie thinking here?
She could be thinking a lot of things. There's a lot that can go through a mind in this spot. We think about the mind in many ways. We think about ways that as humans we think about things. It's pretty crazy the amount of things that can go through your mind in any given spot. Wow,
look at that.
And Maddie would have got there. And we can see that if she shoved, she might have either got full folds. It's kind of the problem with just calling is you're almost never going to see all 5 cards, but also you don't have a great hand. So if you do get a king, you're not really going to be good. Wow, and
they're both going to chop that up.
Yeah.
That's going to be a chop pot. So now, interesting, knowing that you have the 6, which is locked up, we had a bet. How come Ed didn't just jam there?
It's mostly because when you have the 2 6s, you're blocking all combinations that should contain a 6. So when we look at 3-bet ranges, Charity really shouldn't have any 6s there, any 6, single 6.
So then you do have to worry about her possibly having that flush.
She has to have a flush. I mean, she can have a flush. She can have, when she bets that big, you're pretty much only calling as your 6 becomes a bluff catcher. It actually doesn't even. It's not even that good of a hand there, and pretty much you're only hoping that your opponent's bluffing with ace king with the ace of spades type hands.
Right.
But outside of that, your opponent's gonna have even pocket jacks that might be a little afraid to bet on the flop, or might be trapping, trying to make you think that they don't have a hand as strong as jacks on the flop.
Right.
Kind of like John, how he played it earlier.
Makes sense.
And because of that, you don't really have as much incentive. Now, the incentive of the bounty might be that you should just shove anyway. But the thing is, you have to really wonder what's going to call a shove.
Is there any literature or anything now out that you know of that people can go to and try to study the bounty situations? Because it's definitely it's newer, I would think. Bounties haven't been around that long.
Especially PKO.
Right.
I would say bounties and bounty tournaments are very. This is an interesting spot. I'll get back to it in a sec.
Yeah, look at this.
I think we're going to see a shove and a shove. I'd be very surprised to see Tim fold here.
Yeah, he can't fold ace queen. He did.
Wow. So it seems like Tim's on the tighter side in these spots. Maybe, a lot of times you might think your edge is better and you're yeah, and he's mad at himself for folding again.
Yeah.
Maybe he just, again, people are not used to the PKO, especially the 3 buy-ins. The leverage that you get, if John, for example, were to win this hand, the leverage that he gets having double a starting stack is just
powerful,
huge.
Yeah. He could bully everyone around. And
I would say almost worth the 600 that you put in.
Because he's never in danger.
Yeah. And we could see John is on his 3rd rebuy, so if he doesn't get there, he's out of there. Doesn't get there. Wow. and John is eliminated. That means we're not going to be seeing John. He has won the last two.
Yep. His reign of terror is over.
And I'm sure he's very sad about that. Very capable player, very good at the game. But I'm sure he'll be back next week for the 500.
Yeah.
He'll do well. He definitely got super unlucky in this one.
Mm-hmm.
He made the wrong fold in a spot that I think a lot of people would have folded in. He made, a great call or a great play, and with the queen deuce suited, got wrecked. So he's going to be feeling a little, dejected for sure.
But again, if you look at his play, yeah, he's out, but he was aggressive.
Yeah.
And sometimes that aggressive play leads to risking, but also a tremendous upside.
Yeah.
So it's a two-edged sword. And balancing, to me, what I'm trying to learn now is balancing my aggression factor compared to my image. Trying to make sure that people are off balance when they play against me.
Yeah.
I have that old man coffee. I'm an older guy. We're more conservative. But trying to get that image to be of what it is, and then being able to balance out in my own play, knowing I can pick spots and get away with it more than most people would be able to get away with it because of table image.
Yeah. No, and that table image is huge. If people use their table image more, they'd be making a lot of money. But the thing is that sometimes you can't really. Not everyone is playing poker to win money, right?
Right.
That's
exactly.
That's huge. Some people are, it's a
fun time.
It's a fun time. Maybe you win.
Right. And they don't care. Honestly, they're just there for the enjoyment factor, which is a great thing.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I've been there where I just found poker fun for what it was as a gambling game.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a shove here. Wow. And I think we're gonna see a call because of the hearts.
Yep.
The hearts really make it more of a call. It's hard, though. When you're on your second rebuy.
I realized I've played him the last 2 live streams. The first one, he kicked my ass.
Ooh.
The second one, he got lucky.
And it's really close. I think if I were to look at my stack and see this flop, if I knew that Tim just folded ace-queen, I would call less.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't know that he did, I would call more. And I would call more because I would think Tim, just as a player as I know him, you know that he's a capable player,
right?
That he plays professionally, so you know that a lot of the things he's going to be doing, they could contain more bluffs.
Right.
But if I were to see the things that I have seen, I would just end up calling.
He does a couple little things that basically torch anybody who has no idea what they're doing. They have no chance.
Well, what has to be going through Joey's head is, am I outkicked with my ace? Is he on a flush draw?
Yeah, I mean,
and it's funny when we look at it, he's got 5-4 suited, so he can't be thinking he has 5-4 suited there.
Yeah, and this is a good play if I felt my opponent knew that I had folded the hands that I did.
Right.
But the thing is, it's hard. There's so many draws, right? You have 9-10 with the 9 of hearts here. You have queen 10. But the problem is with ace 3, you're not even that ahead of those kind of hands.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, he has 4%. We've seen it happen before.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think Joey, to me, it just seems like he's got to make the call. Just for the bounty.
Well, he's actually out of the bounty. He's the one that.
Oh, he's under. Right.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, no.
But
to build it, getting his chip stick back up too.
Yeah, and we see a little bit of tilt here from Timmy. Can't blame him. He's made the wrong fold twice. He probably felt like his opponents were a lot stronger in the spots.
Mm-hmm.
And we see he's going to need a heart or running 2 pair. He's going to need 2 hearts, running hearts, or running 2 pair.
Can we get 4% twice in one stream?
I think so.
Let's see.
You're not used to that.
Getting everything settled.
It never happens to me.
Ooh, and there's adding 6%. Oh, wow. And we were close again. That's crazy.
Playing Joey. That was good.
Yeah.
I bet the rest of that money's going in.
So now as the blinds are going up, your rebuys are losing value, correct?
I mean, you do play poker, right?
Sort of. So of course, yeah, it does. But the fun part about bounty and PKO is that as blinds go up and stacks get shorter, the ranges should get wider. So going back to that, I'm getting plus 15K chips when I call, right?
Right.
When blinds get shorter, it ends up being where you're actually like getting plus, 5 big blinds, which ends up being really strong. If you're calling 10, let's just say you put in 1 big, or let's say you raise 2.5 and someone jams for 10 bigs, you're essentially getting 7.5 to win
Yeah, it really is.
total 15 bigs from your opponent. So you end up having to call more often. So you end up having to call with hands like Queen 5 suited, for example. And because of that, when you're a shorter stack, you actually end up getting more incentive to jam your strong hands because you're going to get called more often.
Gotcha.
So that means that you're going to double up more often than you would in a normal tournament. Except the thing is that variance becomes a lot higher.
Right.
So, for example, in a regular tournament structure of buy-in fees, like say a buy-in is $200, you're going to want 150 buy-ins, right? As a tournament bankroll.
Correct.
So then you want your bankroll to be 20, what was that, 25K? Or 30K? 30K. So you want your bankroll to be 30K. But in bounties, it ends up being where you want more like 200 to 250.
Exactly.
Because of that fact, because you're going to be shoving a lot more.
Right. Makes sense. So there's even strategy of your bankroll in these events.
Yeah. So if you're doing the right bankroll, then it ends up being that you're getting more EV, and EV, for people who don't know, just means expected value, which is basically a mathematical formula that lets you know, like, am I getting the right price or am I getting the wrong price in these spots? And your EV goes up when you have spots like bounties where, shoving hands like King 10 suited. King 10 suited becomes more like aces.
Right.
Like in this spot, I would like to see more raises because a raise from Rudy here might get Joey to fold. Right. And then suddenly, and wow, I love the way Jason's playing this. Suddenly with the raise, Joey can't really call off King Jack.
Right.
And we'll see, this raise is going to, and you can see what the raise would have done in Rudy's case.
Yep.
Not only that, Rudy wouldn't have to be in this position with the King 10 where he's like, well, now I have to just call. And Maddie, we haven't seen her really get in any hands, but she's down to 13K. So you can kind of see what happens.
She's just been chipped off.
Yeah, you can kind of see what happens when you're too passive.
Right. This is good. This is definitely a good learning experience for anyone watching.
Like 16 of it.
And you were talking about those EV calculators. Those are readily available online and they're free.
Yeah,
and they're fun to play with.
Wow.
And she went in.
And this is interesting. Rudy's going to have to fold, and Jason's going to actually be in a terrible spot against the 5-4 because, wow, he's going to have to mostly pretty much always call. He's going to be – he has 2 live cards against every hand. I mean, even against kings, he's not that that high of a favorite against 5-4 suited.
He's doing the head scratch.
Yeah, I mean,
because he still has his 2 bounties to go. I mean, his 2 rebuys.
He has to call.
So he calls. He's gonna be shocked when he sees what she turns over. Wow. I told you. Wow, he says. So we're pretty much 60-30 here. 60-40.
I see both of you in my ICM class later.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's happier to see this than any other hand.
Oh, of
but
course.
Like,
You know what?
He's still behind.
What's funny is he'd rather see something like 10 Jack though.
Correct. They're not.
Ooh, and this is a really good flop for Maddie. Gonna just have to fade the back doors.
Yep.
But a lot of cards on the turn are just gonna kill Jason here. That's not one of them.
Not one of them. Nope.
But good thing for Maddie is it's only a gutter now instead of flush draw. Which
she's still 91% here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of,
There you go.
And she fades it.
And Rudy's gonna be kicking
Kicking
himself that he
himself,
didn't
right?
raise.
Yeah.
Because look, not only would that have so if Rudy had raised, he would have been priced in to call Maddie,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But he also would have got 5-4 to not re-raise and
Correct.
King Jack to fold.
Mm-hmm.
King Jack would have been the winner,
Yes.
right? So we can see how aggression pays off. We can see how that 6K,
Yes.
you know, Jason allowed himself to pay 9K to win 35K,
Mm-hmm.
as well as fold 2 super strong hands.
Right.
And honestly, I mean, if Maddie had made the right fold there, I mean, for her, it's good that she doubled up.
Right. Yeah.
But she mostly should be folding there.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy would have called, and Jason would have continued on the flop, and Rudy would fold.
Rudy fold. Yep.
So you can see the power of aggression just in that simple. Jason has played really well
Yes.
thus far.
Definitely.
And Timmy standard shove with the. Now this is fun. This is where Rudy really needs to shove. He needs to
Right.
shove these. If you just call and people know what they're doing in bounties, you're not really allowing yourself to get any fold equity.
Mm-hmm.
The 6.5K would really imagine someone wakes up with 33K and has like Jack 10 suited.
Right.
They're gonna call the 6.5K or shove
Right.
because they're gonna understand that their equity becomes a lot stronger. And we'll see. You know, Ed.
Oh, see, this is what we're. Yeah,
Yes,
but
exactly.
But it's still one of those. It still needed to be. It's still probably because now he's in with the King 7, so
He's gonna shove every
he's going to
time.
shove. If he shoves, then what does Rudy do now?
Wow, just call.
Just calls.
Now this in the small blind with the bounty is surprising. He really needed to shove here. I'm curious what made him not shove. This would have been a super good shove spot. You deny equity from Rudy. And I mean, Rudy might fold to H-Jack,
Right.
H-10.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but now what's funny is Rudy
Right.
is going to be betting this board every time.
Yeah.
Might be shoving. And you're just
He
going to
does.
snap call with the 9s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting. But the thing is, you know, Rudy's still 24% favorite. You allowed Rudy to realize it's 24%.
Equity, yeah.
Where if you played it differently, you would have been in a spot where you're getting bounties and chips.
Mm-hmm.
But if he holds, it works out tremendously for him. This is a huge pot. This dictates
Yes.
everything. Ooh, ace on the
Ace
turn.
takes it over.
But we can still see a king or a 7.
Oh, another ace.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Running
Rudy,
aces. Look at you.
I'm gonna lose a lot of his stack here.
Yeah.
You can't once he's hit the 7, you can't blame him.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you say, well, should he ever been in that position?
With the king 7, I would have liked the shove pre-flop if we're gonna be playing the king 7 as a raise.
Right.
But I think
Outcome would have been the same.
outcome would have been the same.
Outcome
Yeah.
would have been the same.
Oh, and Ed did have him covered.
Yep.
So that ends up being a lot more valuable for Ed actually. The covers part,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes the non-shove pre-flop even worse.
Right, because now.
Just imagine if the flop was 6-4-5, right? Well, no,
Oh,
6-4-5 would have been open-ended. 6-8 deuce.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy checks and then folds.
Right.
And actually no. Ed would check out in position or out of position on the 8-6-2 board. Rudy would check and then turn could have been a king, or it would have just been check, 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 and you don't get the bounty.
Right.
And Ed got really lucky here. Got kind of bailed out by the 7 hitting the flop. Such a
Kept
bad
Rudy in.
flop. Yeah.
Kept Rudy in. And he got his whole stack.
Yeah.
Not just one, like 4 hands. That would have been a dominant hand.
So there's so many nuances differently to these bounty type situations, especially these PKOs compared to just your regular, buy-in tournament.
Yeah, there's an insane amount of nuances actually.
But the problem is
A lot more skill, it seems.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more like every format has skill, and I think from what I'm watching, I mean, everyone has leaks. I have huge leaks. I have leaks that made me have to stop, obviously.
Kidding, I have to call a plumber every week. What are you talking about leaks?
There's plenty of types of leaks. There's life leaks, which are more on the line of where I am right now. There's game leaks, and everything.
That's where I am right now. Game leaks.
But even like when I do coaching, for example, I tell the students like, we can look at a hand for like 2 hours, and I can go through with you every street that you're playing wrong, because every single street becomes its own class of the game.
Right.
And the way that you take the game trees can be huge.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many variations.
Yeah. I like the check here from Joey.
Yep.
I think he's recognizing that, this doesn't hit his range as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I need to have 37 shots before I go home.
Yeah.
But now should have Maddie been more aggressive there?
No, this turn is a kind of sucky turn for her, because a lot of her hands are going to be like 7-6, for example, which turns a straight draw, flush draws, which are going to get called by the 10, and 8s, which don't want to bet there.
Right.
An 8 doesn't want to bet into an unknown hand.
Mm-hmm.
No, pretty standard. You sometimes you just got to take your ace high, hope that it's good.
Right.
You are going to be against king queen. You are going to be against king 10.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be against queen 7 even, And then also you're going to be up against the occasional ace jack that wants to play that way.
Yeah.
And so like with all your 8s and 9s, you just want to go for like check call situations.
Makes sense.
When I called, you're probably like, damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it. How did he just call me there? 6-7.
So as the blinds are going up, then the play should get more aggressive.
Yes, it should. John, I'm kind of sad that we lost him, because he shows a really good example of how you should be playing in the bounty tournament.
Right.
He does.
He was like playing the textbook.
Yes.
Bounty structure. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't work out for him today.
Yeah.
But he's won the last 2, so.
And we are going to see most likely. Oh, actually, no. It looks like Sal has more chips than what's. Oh no, he does have 10K. I was looking at Ed's stack. Yeah, so Sal's most likely going to be shoving this spot. He has 10 bigs. He has a lot of dead money. Mm-hmm. You just saw Jason do like 5 bluffs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you definitely want to be shoving. Sally is going to be running into it, but.
Now, would you rather shove Ethan hands like 6-7 suited here than queen 10 suited?
No, not if I feel like my opponent is searching for bounties, which we've seen Jason is very capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to be shoving more with hands like 7-6 suited when I'm the 50 big blind stack rather than the 10 big blind stack.
Gotcha. I just always wonder when you're jamming that like queen 10, you're intersecting with the other player's cards.
Yeah,
so if you could avoid what the bigger cards, it would seem, and I could be totally mistaken. You can coach me on that, because it just seems like my cards are not what they're having. So it gives me a better edge to actually hit something.
The deeper you are, the more you want to be playing those type of hands.
Okay.
Wow, what a flop for Rudy. It's going to go check, shove, call.
Mm-hmm.
A lot here. But here's the thing. Is Rudy going to lead on this board and not allow his opponent
to give them that option?
To give him that option, as we've seen in the past, and I feel like he will.
Yeah, he's been doing it.
Yeah, and this is going to kill his action a lot of the time.
Yeah. So now the ace-jack's really kind of in a pickle to just fold.
So this is actually what I was talking about earlier with when he led out with the king 10, except this is a way better example of why it's bad to just lead out.
Yeah. Top pair, flush draw.
And this is kind of...
unless you think he's going to go for your bounty, maybe he thinks that...
No.
This is a perfect spot to look at, like, these flops. A lot of people, we feel like we're afraid, right? Like, we have so much equity that we don't want to lose.
Right.
Like, we're like, oh, our equity is so insane. If I lose this hand, it's my fault. But the thing is, losing hands is never your fault.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry. I don't know. Scratch that. Losing hands isn't always your fault. Like, a lot of the times you're just going to lose, even if you played perfectly.
Right.
I think Rudy could have definitely doubled up there had he checked.
Just checked it and let the ace
Yeah.
jack take the aggressive line.
And here's the thing: he checks, his opponent probably shoves, and let's just say it comes ace on the turn, no heart on the river.
You still
That's
made the right
life.
play, right?
Yeah.
You still made the right play. You put yourself in the best position to win.
Yeah.
And then you can't control the card.
If you were checked, I would have chipped.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I tell
Oh,
people
he said it.
Yeah.
He said if I checked, I would have shoved.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Yeah, and of course, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're spot on, as usual. I hate you. You know, you can make mistakes every now and again.
Yeah, and Sal's gonna be shoving here. Wow. Okay. So he really thinks that he doesn't want to buy in again, maybe.
Maybe. And Timmy's showing up with
Oh,
ace
yeah.
king here.
And he would have run into it. And this is kind of the problem with poker, is it directly rewards you in the wrong ways.
Mm-hmm.
It directly tells you, hey, you made the right fold
But
in your mind.
yeah,
But really, it wasn't the right
it
fold.
wasn't the right fold.
But in your mind, you definitely think, wow.
Yeah, like
you
right
made
now,
it.
he's saying, "Wow, I did a good thing."
Yeah.
When technically he didn't.
Yeah.
Or
Well, close.
by EV position, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can take the a7 either way.
Right.
You don't have to shove it, but
it's a nice hand.
the format does make you want to shove it more because look, Charity's calling
Right.
the queen 9,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And Charity in the right is calling the queen 9.
Correct.
Only called because of the bounty. Give me a queen one time.
Queen on
She
the
called
flop,
it in the window.
but a lot of backdoor.
Yep.
You know, he has a ton of outs.
No, he's got less.
Yeah, and you see the a7 would have actually beat the ace king right now. Nope, nuts on the river.
Nuts on the river.
I knew it was coming.
You believe that, Rudy? You believe that
She said she knew it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, Timmy still has 60-40. Something that a lot of people also don't remember about poker is like
He had way better odds than me.
when you have it all in pre-flop, and then let's just say the flop comes and you have 96%, but pre-flop you had 40%,
Mm-hmm.
and then you end up losing. I think a lot of people like to say, I lost, you know, a 96% hand.
Right.
But in reality, they were behind 40%.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it's hard
They
to
don't look at
remember
it that way.
Yeah,
I don't look at it that. I constantly have to remind myself that
it's really hard.
it is. It's.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
very difficult.
it helps you to like be like, okay, it's okay that I lost. It's okay that I lost.
Yeah.
And that's something that I see a lot of people. I try to help people not do the problem of getting in that mindset. And we do see a shove from Queen Jack suited here.
I mean, I guess you could be.
We're definitely gonna get a call.
I didn't have a. If I had ace of diamonds.
Yeah, eights is a snap call
Snap
here.
call, yeah.
I don't mind telling you,
I think even if you see, you know, 21, 22K shove, you're going to just snap call with the eights.
No, I probably did right. I probably did fine. The reason why.
See, this is.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I'm still
There you
calling
go,
with the
yeah.
eights. That's
Yeah.
rough spot to be in, but you have to call.
It was like 15,000 in there.
And I actually would be okay with just a call from Jason. Like I might have enjoyed a just call to 12K rather than shove to 25. Because you're getting it
A little
all in
more
anyway.
trapping. Mhm.
Yeah.
Bathroom wall. Probably short answer super.
Yeah, but you're getting such a big incentive as Joey here to call with the eights. You're not like super happy, but the thing is you're getting again that extra. I believe that Jason has 2 bounties, so his stack is worth an extra 20K. Then you're getting the extra Sal bounties, which is 10K. So you're practically getting 23K to win like 100K
Right.
in equity.
And you know you're behind,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Well, you could actually be ahead. You could be against Ace King and Queen Jack, for example. It does suck that you're against Kings. But the thing is, Jason, as we've seen, is capable of making shoves lighter for the
Yeah.
bounties.
Well, that's. Yeah.
If Jason had like 35K, 33K, I would be less incentivized to call because then Jason isn't like as susceptible to like shoving a bad hand and then rebuying.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, he's closer to starting stack, and we just saw Rudy get it in with 10-9 suited,
Right.
for example.
Yep, there
Does
it
make
is.
the call.
Because he did the math. I mean,
He has to call. He has to.
he has to. Yeah.
Oh my
I'm an
God.
amateur, and I knew that was pretty much your calling.
Actually, it's better than.
Ooh, and it looks like Joey might have gotten. I think there might have been an 8 that was folded because he only has 3% here. He should have a lot more percent.
God, just for that comment, I'm rooting for these guys.
Wow,
Just for
you
that
just asked for a king.
We got a.
All right, hit him with an 8, Matt.
Yeah, and this is looking good for Jason. He could get a knockout and 65K in chips,
Yeah.
which I think Jason has played extremely well. This,
Yeah, he's playing really strong right now.
yeah, I'm really impressed actually. Oh, and he just
look
flops
at
him
that.
dead.
How's that?
He has the king of spades, so he
Yep.
flops both players dead.
It's over on a flop. Nice hand by Jason.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. That's going to dictate the way he's been playing. He
puts
is
him in the
going to
driver's
be
seat.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
puts him in the driver's seat right now.
and
for sure.
he's been in the driver's seat in terms of play, so he's going to be doing really, really
Yeah.
well with that.
Just got to have the wheels not fall off, like kind of what I do.
Yeah. I believe we have a break coming up.
Yep. So this will be our break to color up the black $100 chips.
So I love how matter of fact you are.
All right, so here's that tournament I was talking about, December 14th through the 19th. 9 day 1 flights, $200 bounties on day 2. So you get bounties on day 1 and you get bounties on day 2. The first time I think we've run this format. Fantastic. You could look at the website. We'll have more detail. It'll give you blind structures, levels going up, what the satellites are. So come out, down and rounders, enjoy $300 buy-in. I mean, you can't beat $300 buy-in plus a bounty tournament. So.
And you get your bite of 200K.
Yeah.
So it's even better than that.
I mean, I played the main that just passed up, and I ended up finishing 50th out of 900 and something players.
Nice.
But, again, it's because I'm listening to you. I'm listening to Drew. Just by being around you guys, I'm becoming better through osmosis.
That's great.
And I made 4 or 5 crucial mistakes, but I never lost the composure.
That's great.
And that was what I've been working on the most. Yes, you made a bad play, and yes, you knew as soon as you did it, it was bad, but it's how you recover after that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've been really working with Drew on mindset of tournaments because it's totally I'll play anybody in cash.
Yeah.
There's a difference in cash because I could always reach in my pocket, and I have pretty much unlimited funds.
Yeah.
But when you go to a tournament, nobody cares about how much your funds are because you know what? When you have to pass that rebuy spot, it's mono against mono. There is no advantage to being, I have money and you don't. So now it's your play. And, it was a very good learning experience for me to be able to go and feel a little more confident.
Yeah.
Those little wins. And that's what I always try to tell the people I coach in real estate, the new agents and stuff, little wins. You want little wins. You're not looking for the home run right away. If that home run happens, great. But if it doesn't, it's okay. You're trying to get those little wins under your belt and build on your game.
No, for sure.
And like I said, I've really only been playing poker. Probably this is my 2nd year.
Oh wow.
Of playing, seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer of practicing online.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of hands in, you see a lot of spots, but then when you come to the live arena, the competition is much weaker. I never believed that.
Yeah.
But it is because there's so many people that are playing online, and you get to see just so many more spots.
Yeah. No, and
so balancing that, I think, is if you're trying to get good at poker, I think balancing an online play with your live play, and getting a group of friends together that go through hands together. And like I can come to you with hands and I can go to Drew with hands and I get 2 different perspectives.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And they're both right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, there is no wrong. Now, there are crucial wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've made a couple of those just in that tournament. I sat down with Drew. He's like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, chalk it up to just a bad play.
No, for sure.
So that's kind of, I think the best way to learn this game is to get some good mentors, get around some good players.
Support groups.
Support groups.
Yeah.
And, being the dumbest guy in the group is usually the best, to be honest, because you learn the most.
Yeah.
You pick the brains of the Ethans of the world, and we had a plethora of great players here this week from all around.
Oh, yeah.
All around the country, and sitting at the bar at night and talking hands and things like that. It's amazing how the top echelon players, like the gurus of the world, and
Jesse Sylvia.
he was willing to talk hands openly.
Yeah.
And he's basically telling you his strategy.
Well, Jesse is like the nicest guy
yeah,
ever.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that definitely isn't the case for all of them.
No,
but
no,
from my history with like traveling with Faraz,
Mm-hmm.
the people that we would invite over, or like people that I was able to meet because of being in the vicinity with Faraz.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how even at that level, like Faraz's level, and those people,
Mm-hmm.
they're always talking. One guy says this is the right way, and another guy says no, this is the right way, and both are right.
Right.
And
then you take the best of both of what they say, and then you come up with your strategy.
Yeah.
Because a strategy that you do is definitely not going to work the same way if I try it.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back and
All right.
put this over there
You
real
got
quick.
it.
I'll be back in 30 seconds, y'all.
So let's go and look at the chat. Anybody chatting with us today? Please, if you guys wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor, hitting that like button. It makes my boss, Drew, a lot happier. The more likes we get, it definitely does help the stream. It's always nice to be able to look over, see how many people are watching, and see how many likes are the same, and it matches. That would be fantastic if you guys could do that. Awesome. Again, we also want to thank Drew for putting us all together again. He's tirelessly hours that he's putting into making this stream more open to everyone. We're really trying to be inclusive to all player strategies, all player types, levels of expertise, and that's why we're doing these sit and go type things. It's not just a strictly cash game arena, and I know Drew has a lot of things that he's working on in the future to make this better. So we're super excited here at Rounders, and don't forget to come out and say hi. Our GM, Scotty, is always available to anyone. We have great floor people that are here every evening throughout the day. Restaurants open till 2 a.m. Bars open till 2 a.m.
Yeah, super sick place overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic.
Crazy how far it's come.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then poker, again, like I said, it's a booming. We're in a recession in the economy, supposedly, but you'd never know it when you walk into the poker room, or you walk into these local card rooms with tournaments that are going on.
Oh, yeah.
That poker economy seems to be doing okay right now.
Yeah, insane.
But I'm actually thinking I might be dragging you to Vegas. You don't even know about it yet. I might be dragging you to Vegas with me to let's hit that win, and I'm going to play the old guy thing. I'll put you in a couple of the young guy things and see what happens.
The future is looking definitely great for here, like the Rounders team. Me and Drew are definitely gonna. I told him like I want to build this.
Yeah,
I want to.
your babies.
Make it. Yeah.
And again, the owners are willing to do whatever we need to do to get to the point that Drew and you want to get to, and I'm just here for support. And whatever I can do, I'll definitely be able to put my expertise on the selling side in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of just San Antonio. Born and raised. I have a lot of hometown pride, and I want to see San Antonio be somewhere on the
do you
map.
realize we hit $1 million guarantee?
Yeah,
first time out.
No, I couldn't. When I was talking about that, I couldn't believe that we'd ever in San Antonio have
be able
like
to do that.
Yeah.
And that's just now a stepping stone. We know we can do it. So now, the owners have gotten together and they've put their brains together, and they're going to look up for the next series. And again, it is a balance between the bigger poker rooms in the Texas area. You don't want to be running tournaments up against their tournaments, and because the player pool is moving from spot to spot, especially the good players. They're basically. We have people moving from out of state just to come to play poker.
Yeah,
they're relocating to Texas. So you might see Texas being a hub poker really, really soon.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they're going to be getting ready now to get started back up. I
And I was so
see
carded
Matt in the
in for 2
box.
hours,
Some
my
big
ticket was
blinds
like
are out.
7%. And then it went up
So
to
we should be
8%.
getting
He was like, hey,
started.
good for you, Edward. You went up 8%.
What are we at, the 1500 level?
Yes, we're at 15, 15,
15,
1.
15, 1.
I'm so
Okay.
carded.
Yeah.
The best thing I
And
got
this
was a
actually
560,
is a very
which I
cool.
played, of course. But like, after that,
So-
it was just trash.
In a normal, for example, our next blinds are going to be 1, 2, 2.
Mm-hmm.
In this level, you're more incentivized to limp on the small blind because you're getting 500 to win 4,500.
Right.
This is actually something that happens a lot, even in the series and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing like
The levels.
the levels is really important. So
Right.
knowing like in this spot you should be limping more often than not, because in the next one your small blind's still going to be 1,000, but the big blind's going to be 2,000.
Right.
So you're getting a lot less incentive
To be
to be like in
right
there.
in there.
So you're gonna want to
So
be
you're
playing
limping,
more of a
you're
limp.
right. You're doing a more of a limp strategy now in this
In the
level.
small blind,
in the
yeah.
small blind. Mm-hmm.
So there should be a lot more blind on blind action. But things change because it's bounty.
Right.
How much it was and all that.
All right. Cards are out.
Yeah, he's
He was
wrong.
asking the
He's 100% wrong.
So when's retro? When can you not buy anything?
After you get to the money,
Oh, so
top 3 cannot use their
All right.
lives.
So it's going to be
anymore.
$1,500 to go.
Yes.
If you have a horsey
If
left.
you have a horse, yeah. or
Fold,
if you
fold,
have a
fold.
unicorn
Maddie's
left, yes.
looking down. She
I
folds.
got 1%.
Yeah.
Let's get to Rude.
Yeah. So this is interesting to see. How Rudy takes this.
Right. How does he come back?
Oh,
got
and King Queen. I still would like a lot of limps because you want to have a limping range. But
And do you want to call here?
with so you want to be able to have a limping range.
Uh-huh.
I like raise more, but honestly, it's never bad to have a limping range.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
It's never bad to.
Last
For example, if I had aces in the spot, I would want to limp because
Yes.
I want my opponent
To get in there. You don't want to force him out.
King Queen in this kind of spot ends up being very close to strength
Right.
as a hand.
But
like
now
aces.
King Queen suited, that's a limp.
Yeah, I mean it gets. I mean, obviously you can take any action,
Uh-huh.
but
But what would you King Queen there against King Queen suited there?
yeah,
What would your play be? Would it be different?
I try my best to randomize my plays in my head.
Because you're a pro, I hate you. But go ahead. For us normal people,
Yeah, so you could. I think if you take, it's better when you're just learning to take a more aggressive line at all points. It's
Gotcha.
better to be aggressive than passive.
gotcha. Okay.
But once you sort of learn the intricacies of when to be aggressive and when not to be, then you can start playing it a little differently.
Oh, this is going to
So-
be some action here.
Yeah.
Boyfriend girlfriend action. This is
Oh yeah, eights. Yeah, and I think eights is gonna just have to shove with 14 bigs. Just calls. He's been very tight. As you see the problem where you're gonna let Jason see. Oh wow,
He folded ace 3 suited.
that might not be right.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
Yeah, it looks like that dealer. It's fine, but yeah, so it might not be right on the. But still, like when he just calls, he gives a lot of incentive to big stacks to just shove there.
Right.
I would shove with a very wide variety of hands if I was a big stack here.
Mm-hmm.
And this flop is definitely going to hit Maddie a lot. So when she bets, you're going to get a lot of folds here. I think I would like to see it continue with eights.
Yeah, I would have taken one off, I think.
But it's hard because the stack size, which is why the shove would have been better pre-flop.
Gotcha. Yep, you're correct.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't like to take flips, which is okay.
Mhm.
You know, it's the thing about tourney and
But in
like
bounties, if you don't flip, you don't win.
yeah, yeah. And Jason has been a good example of like he's ready to take the flips. You know,
Yeah.
he's ready to get in 7-6 suited against what he might presume to be like top
Right.
two pair or top pair.
Mm-hmm.
Action. Big blind. 15-15. Getting there.
All right, Ed Stanish.
Oh, you then.
Oh, folds. And I like the time that he's taking. You know,
Yeah.
we can't see his cards, so we know like
Yeah.
you know what could he be taking his time with.
Right.
And limp strategy, I'm gonna say that Charity has something along the lines of like 4s, 3s, maybe something like Queen 8 suited here when she limps, maybe even like King 9, King 10 suited.
The only thing that would stop
So
me
that's the thing, you know, we don't see the hands, so we don't know like, you know, how wide is her limping range,
Right.
and that's good that we don't see it because it's like she really can't have anything here.
Right.
And you can see that Joey just calls the 1500. He has a lot more incentive too in the small blind.
Now we're going to see.
Charity limping in with the ace-3. I would like to see more raises with the ace-3 because you don't really want flops with a hand like ace-3.
Right. Because if you hit, you don't even know if you're good.
Yeah. Like say the board comes like 3. Oh, well, in this spot it would be good for her to hit a 3, but see check in the dark. Ooh, and Sal's gonna hit the 7. Now, if Charity had raised, does Sal see this flop?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's what your point is of aggression is important.
Yeah.
And
There you go bragging.
oh
and she's
yeah,
got
I didn't.
position.
You're like Jerry.
I didn't
Rice.
notice, but
I'm
Joey
sure
has
Jerry
3
Rice.
bigs. No, I mean if she should
Randy Moss.
definitely raise or like shove pre-flop because she's getting a lot of, again, incentive to steal or Joey might shove with the king 3, but now you're giving the guy who has 9 big blinds an extra,
Yes.
The best part
3,
is she
4 more
raised
bigs.
yeah, and just like that, he's back at starting stack.
Right.
Let's see this.
You had your soul. Like, let's be honest. That was the most boss bet of the whole night. There's nothing even close to it. 4-bet ship it.
Yeah, I mean,
6 taps.
aggression is super key
And
in
get called
bounties,
by worse.
but it's hard, If you play tournaments mostly that aren't bounty related, you end up not knowing like, okay, when am I incentivized to play bad hands? And when am I
Yeah,
not?
I played this format once, and I was just lost. I was like, what am I doing?
Just for reference, I've seen good players shove like 50 bigs with like Jack 5 suited, for example.
Right.
And while that's I think a little too wide for me, it still makes sense in theory. And Charity, I think she has the right idea, but the not raising part is. Rudy, I would like to see a bigger sizing, especially if you're choosing a hand like this, because it seems like what he's choosing to do here is to target the all-in. But the thing is, again, he might just be in the same spot. Ooh, when we get aces. He might just be in the same spot that he was with the King 7.
What are you talking about here?
Get to work, purple unicorn.
Which
Get
is
to
work.
work.
Maybe Charity calls, and then what does he do?
Spend it when you're
And
live.
maybe Charity flops 2 pair. What does he do?
Right.
Over there by Rudy.
And I think Charity's going to call from what we've seen, and we might see Rudy just call as well.
Are you saying that one's gonna help?
But Rudy's definitely more incentivized to take a more aggressive route than just call here. If you were to shove, Charity can't really continue with Jack 7.
Makes the call. We'll flop 3-way. 3-way with somebody with the aces.
I'll be happy to give it back.
Yeah, and you can see like Charity hits the Jack, which obviously isn't like gonna be that good. But let's just say Joey had like
I'm just kidding.
9-10 or something. You're kind of just allowing that to be in the pot.
So now if you're Joey and there's 3 clubs on the board and you're holding the ace, so you're blocking the nut flush. So you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, aces feels really good here, especially when it goes check check.
You're never worried, really concerned about a queen.
I'm not a fan of this sizing by Rudy at all.
No.
No, I mean, obviously you're scared of a queen. I think when I see this 3.5 bet, I might think that they have a queen.
Fucking queen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the bet on the turn was. Definitely lost more than he should have here.
What?
Good job, Kill Unicorn.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I'm surprised by the
Right?
The smaller bet size.
the smaller bet sizings.
Seems like you think that the smaller bet size comes from that he could be trapping with a queen, and just let me put out a pro bet.
Well, here's the thing: is like, sure you can, but you never really want to bet into a side pot.
Right.
I think that's something that a lot of people do that is really wrong. Is like, you don't want the person who's all in to triple up.
Correct.
Neither player wants that.
Right.
So when you bet into a dry pot with bluffs, you don't accomplish anything because you're only getting called by non-bluffs,
Or
and you're
better.
only getting folds by
Right.
by hands that don't have any equity, pretty much.
Right.
How could you?
No,
It becomes even worse when you do a small sizing because you're not getting anything to fold that you're not going to get ace 10 to fold.
So what was the right sizing in your opinion there? 3/4 pot?
Just check.
Just check.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to bet on the turn.
So
at the
doesn't
five.
want to bet on it.
Once he's played the way that he played, check is a lot better.
Check is better.
Just because again, you're not really denying like with the 3.5K, I mean, you're not denying equity from anything that's drawing, and you're also not going to get like, for example, the diamonds on the turn. So what are you targeting, right?
Right.
With the bet, what do you end up? You end up targeting all hands that you just now you're beating all ace highs on the turn.
Right.
You don't really need to deny equity because there's someone all in already, and there's no like side pot.
They have to be open if they're Kelsey. You just
That's a flop here.
my ball. Thank you.
6 of hearts, jack of spades, 7 of spades.
Yeah, this is a super interesting flop because we have the big stacks, one with top pair and one with the flush draw. 8K. I like the sizing with the queen jack. Oh no, 13K. Okay. This is an interesting sizing. This makes it to where Ed's just gonna shove. Yeah. And Ed's gonna shove a lot here. And the thing is, like, sure you can call this, but man, it's rough. But now that he's gone 13K, he kind of has to, you know?
Right.
Whereas, like, if he went like 8K, which I thought he went, he could fold more often. But now he's like kind of in a spot where it's like, fuck, I have top pair,
Do I go?
good kicker, but I have to put in my whole stack, and I still cover like 5 people.
Right. So really, folding probably is better.
It's close. I think that he's getting. I have to do the math here. He's getting. I mean, he's getting like less than 1-to-1 here. So he needs to be right pretty often, which he's gonna be against a lot of flush draws. But I mean, you're dead against 7s. You're dead against 6s. You could just be up against King Jack.
He puts it in.
And even against Ace 2 spades, you're not in a great spot. Yeah, I mean,
Makes the call.
Nice call, bro.
yeah, this is a big one. I mean, this could dictate who wins this event. And you love to see this turn if you're Jason. Brutal.
Ugh.
I think you got me covered.
Brutal for Ed. And it's the sizing that Jason took, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine your opponent did have King Jack, right? Like,
Maddie.
you just, it kind of goes back to the time when Rudy bet the bet with the King 10 is
Right.
like, if you kind of put yourself in a position where you have to call against these hands, and it can be really,
And that's not a
really
comfortable
bad.
spot to be in.
No, I mean, you're not happy if you're against Ace 10 of spades, for example, or 8-9 of spades, or Jack 7, or King Jack, Ace Jack, pocket 6s, pocket 6. There's a lot more hands than just spade draws.
I don't remember. What's the small blind Matt?
But ends up doubling up, ends up making the call, and now he's in a very
Very big,
fortuitous
yeah.
position. But you know what's funny is the idea of bounties in this case. The idea of the bounty tournament, how we were talking about how as blinds go up, your rebuy becomes less important.
Right.
In this point, because he has all the chips, it actually becomes better to double up. I mean, to rebuy, because you're pretty much everyone only has like 20K, and he has all the chips in
Wish
play.
you were a little magic over there to go with your unicorns.
And I would just start using my advantage with my chip stack if I were him,
And
really
opening
hard.
up.
Like in this spot with Ed in the middle,
Mhm.
I would have just shoved almost any 2
Right.
as Jason, because even if you get called, the best hand that you're going to get called by or the biggest stack you're going to get called by is Maddie right now. And
Right.
even if you did, you still have 110K,
Exactly.
which is crazy. And you're still going to be in a 30, 60 spot at worst.
Right. So we got 210 against
Yeah.
A7.
The Brunson, wow. And you can see with the 9-6, he would have flopped the top pair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 9-6 would have taken it.
Yes.
Might have gone two. Yeah.
Two bounties.
All of it, yeah, anytime.
I was surprised he wasn't aggressive there. He would have
Right.
got the bounties, and Ed had 2 bounties on his own.
Bye, Edward.
Oh,
Looks like we're
and-
losing one.
yeah, Ed is mad about the
Yeah.
ace deuce of spades.
I know you. I know, buddy. I've been there. I have been there.
I mean, he was behind. He can't be too mad.
No, but again, he didn't use his other 2 buy-ins.
Yeah.
And if you're frustrated, maybe that's okay.
Yeah,
If you're not playing well, you don't feel you're playing well.
yeah.
You know, there's no reason to add on to your frustration if you're not in the right mindset of playing.
No, for sure. If you're in a bad mindset, you know, kudos to him getting off the
Yeah,
table
absolutely.
because it's really hard to get off the table.
Yeah, because you're on a stream, but that's really a lot of discipline there to say, hey, maybe I'm not playing well, or maybe I'm not feeling good, or there could be anything.
Yeah.
But to keep donating money to something that you're not playing your best is probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah, and I was in that problem for a while.
Yeah,
you know,
just trying to
I
play it all the time and trying to get back and recoup and chase losses, basically. Yeah.
I mean, I lost 160K in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
when I was like playing really high stakes.
right.
I ended up, you know, that ended up setting me on a weird. Ooh, it's gonna be a jam for Joey a lot of the time here.
He's normally way more chill than that. I've sat at tables and he's lost hands. He's never gotten that mad.
This is I would 100% jam the ace-8 against the chip leader who's raising because chip leader is just gonna have, like
Such
I
a
said,
wide
should
range,
have
yeah.
an insane wide range. Does go all in. And I would shove any suited ace against a chip leader in a spot like this when they raise. And I like the sizing from Jason. This 4.5K is actually pretty good. It goes back to that, like, you want hands to fold.
Right, but is it enough that he can get away from it, or
No, he's going to have to call
he's going to
here.
have to call here?
Whether or not he does, I don't know, but he's going to have to call. Oh, and Maddie, she really should fold here.
Yeah.
I'm glad she does because she's made a few calls that were a little
Suspect, yeah.
suspect. But yeah, I know he's gonna have to call.
Yeah, he's just
With the bounty, the thing is that I think Sal has 3 bounties or 2,
Right.
at the very least 2. His bounty chips end up being way worth. He's getting right now. Ooh,
he folded.
yeah, he's getting like 4 to 1 on that call again with the bounty in play. Since Joey has like 2 or 3 bounties.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't blame him. Like, there's 2 things you can do in bounty. You can leverage and fold because you can still leverage.
Correct.
If you double Joey up, he's up
Now
to
he's
40K,
back, right.
and then you
It's
have
hard
a
to
stack.
play against him, yeah.
Yeah, but instead of doubling up, now Joey, like, in the future, Jason can call him. So, if he doesn't want to double up his opponent and he feels like, he's not in a great spot, then for sure, I get that completely.
So what little advice what do you give to people when you get into these situations and you're just not getting any cards? The distribution is not in your favor right now. You're getting blinded off. What do you focus on?
You got to remember that you can't always win, right? That you can't always have a day where you're getting cards. That sometimes you're just I'm gonna like to see a shove a lot of the time here in the small blind, and he does go for it. I'm glad, and we're gonna see a call. Yeah, I'll go back to the topic in a sec after we see the hand.
Wait, that's about this table all in right there.
That's reasonable. Those are real cards.
I have 7
We got the Philhelmy White Magic versus jacking off. Jack on the board. We're gonna need some runner or a queen here. An ace would be a fun card. Ooh, that's the same as the ace. So now he's got a couple more outs. Doesn't get there.
Doesn't get there.
Rudy gets a bounty in his stack.
Mm-hmm.
And standard spot. Tim pretty much has to shove there. Rudy has to call.
Right. That one kind of played itself out.
Yeah. But going back to the card distribution thing is live poker. So we can imagine online, right? Let's say we play, I've seen, I would have to go back to the amount of hands I've seen, but I've seen a lot. And like in the same period of online, I could see like the amount of hands that I see in 6 months of live in maybe
your lifetime.
Yeah, and maybe in like 6 months of live, I could probably see in like a week or 2
Oh,
of
yeah,
online.
absolutely. I mean,
And-
especially when these guys are playing 12 tables, 13 tables,
Yeah.
8 tables.
I've never played with them.
They're involved in 8 tournaments at one time.
Yeah, so like in that case, you just got to remember like you're not seeing as many hands as you'd like to, and we're gonna see a shove from Sal here,
Yeah.
or maybe just a raise. No, he does go
it's
for the
gonna
shove.
shove.
I'm glad he goes for the shove.
He's been waiting for this spot.
Yeah.
Charity's going to get out of the way. Maddie gets out of the way.
And
He did. He won one
Tim's
of
thinking
James'
about it.
events.
15K.
Tim might have had a little more than Rudy and maybe just didn't completely bust. No. He was just waiting on chips.
Doing bounty chips too?
Ooh, this is a rough
Yeah.
spot. Yeah, I mean, he has 10 bigs. I think you just fold this, but I'm fine with a call. I would fold it because Sal has only played like 2 hands.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have an extra buy-in. Table's getting shorter. I'd call this more if I had 7 to 6 bigs, but even then it's hard because you're on the button, so you have a whole orbit of
Right.
hands left. But
So
again,
you can find a better spot.
yeah, you can find a better spot. I think this is actually a pretty good fold.
Yeah.
But that's only because he doesn't cover Sal. If he covered Sal, it'd be an instant call.
I had ace 10 off.
I mean, it really depends if he feels like he wants to rebuy again or not. It can get really close.
I call, you show me like ace queen.
All right. While he is shuffling, I need everybody to go to their computer, take their little mouse button, drag it down to that little thumb, and hit it. And let me know how we do. Really helps the channel out, guys. Really brings us more content, gives us things to be able to bring better to you guys. If there's any questions in the chat for Ethan, just fire away.
Yeah, I'm willing to hear all
He's
questions.
willing to hear any questions that you might have or any topic that you want him to cover.
Raise 5.
All right, I think we're seeing Charity play this 10-9 suited as a raise, which I'm fine with for sure. You want to use a smaller sizing, more like 4K, but 5K is fine. When you're raising into the big blind though, which is the chip leader, it gets a little worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's gonna do this a lot.
Yeah.
He does have a good hand in this spot.
Right.
But now you're kind of like, okay, well, I either give away 5K, which now I don't cover Sal, or I call and.
Right.
And this is a big spot.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Not the worst spot in the world.
No.
Jack present maybe. Jack 5 was low light.
I was not expecting to be that good.
Wow, ace on the window and gonna need some backdoor. Ooh, there's a backdoor.
Oh, damn.
Nope. Didn't get there.
Yeah. And Jason
He's just running them over.
playing really well too, but hitting cards, you have to do both.
Yep.
But I mean, overall, like he's gotten.
He's playing
people
like
fold.
ABC of how you should do this.
Oh, he's playing.
If you ever
he's playing
wanna-
really well.
Yeah, if you want to watch a stream of how you should play a PKOs, this is classes in session.
No, he's playing really great. It's cool to see that because we didn't really get to see much of him on the cash game stream. the other day.
Right.
I mean, I've only got like 170 or so.
You've never been
Making some great bluffs, making some really good calls, making good bets, making good raises. I think overall,
He's doing it all.
Crazy thing is
Yeah.
what I just
there's a couple
dogged
spots
up,
maybe you
I've
could be more
gotten
aggressive,
back
but honestly, you
3
can take it
times,
either way.
but I was only sitting on 24, so it's not like I was up a whole lot.
And the beauty of poker is like a lot of times you can do pretty much any option is
Be
going to have
careful, 'cause that's
a
what
good
Ed
amount of
said.
equity.
Be careful.
GTO will tell you that you should do an option like 80% of the time.
He literally
But,
said,
if you need to do an
win
option
this
80% of the
this
time, that
he's
means
gonna
there's
put
still
a bullet in his
20%
head,
that
so
you can fill out.
Exactly.
I hope he doesn't do that too.
Yeah, y'all got a whole night of drinking.
2 and 2.
Right?
I don't know if he's gonna be so keen on drinking with me later. Be like, you douche, you called me with top hair.
Maddie with the king 3 suited. Interesting spot. I think with hands like this, you really want to take more aggression than just raising. I think you want to fold or shove a lot of your hands here.
Mm-hmm.
20 big blinds, in this format, I really want to raise more when there's shorter stacks and less when people have the same stack, because you're just going to get a lot of 20K stacks to shove.
Yeah, it's the difference between being the one that's shifting.
Like if Sal had like ace 8 suited here, he would just shove,
Right.
and then you can't really see your equity with the king 3 suited. Whereas if you just shoved, he might not just he probably folds the ace 3. And here's the snap check back.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Looks like so ugly.
It's funny because if Ed didn't have literally 70K like this, I'm like, oh god, really? I mean, I snap call everyone else.
And it's fine though. This flop is definitely one that you can check.
Oh,
But again, it's the problem with raising the king 3 suited is there's not really a lot of flops you want to see. Wow, and she makes a
Right,
call.
it's like, what am I
Well, I
beating?
mean, he was in the small blind and lit.
See, the thing is, I think she's going to check the
So,
river a lot.
really the only hands I'm looking for
And
is 6-7, and I block jack, six, jack, seven.
you know, when you're calling, you have to have an idea. Like, am I gonna
One
I'm
hand
gonna
down.
jam this river
Wait, how do you got?
to a check, or
Mhm.
am I just gonna snap check back?
I block jack, seven.
Can I tell a believable story?
Right.
Is an 8 gonna fold if I shove? So what am I calling for on the turn? Am I calling to hit my 5? Is my 5 even good?
Right.
I didn't understand.
Oh, and she does snap check
Just-
back.
I didn't even have one. I was thinking you flopped the queen.
Yeah, I block jack, six, jack.
So now, if she has to make a decision of not checking there, is it a value bet? Is it a shove?
It's a shove.
It's a shove.
You have to be. The thing is, again, like
But does the
It-
shove
it-
come look so bluffy to the ace, saying
the ace can't call regardless.
can't recall?
It's not a matter of whether or not it's a bluff. It's a matter of if it is a bluff. Is it a bluff with ace king, for example, that you're losing
Right.
to? Is it a bluff with pocket sevens who feels like they can get you off an 8?
Right.
And then you have so like ace high never calls there.
Gotcha.
But the thing is that like when she calls the turn, she's saying like, okay, I have some of this, or I have something better than ace
Right.
3.
Mm-hmm.
So when she calls, she has to have the idea of like, I'm also gonna like bet this turn,
Right.
you know, or I mean this river. I'm choosing to use rivers as a bluffing mechanism when my opponent checks to me,
Right.
versus like,
And that's got to be pre-planned already from the flop.
yeah, it's a lot of like in advance steps that you have to take.
Right. If this happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and I like the aggression with the king jack.
Yep.
Not in a great place if he gets called actually, but
No.
I don't think he's gonna get called very often.
Are we going once or twice?
Yeah, twice, please.
Oh, and he does
He
get
does
called.
call.
Oh, that's bad shape again.
What?
Big spot again.
That's alright. We just need hang on the flop.
70-30.
No king with 3 coming.
Ooh.
Wow.
You hate to see this if you're Maddie because you just don't want to see a pair.
1 and ace now.
Wow, and she holds with
She
the ace
holds,
high.
yeah.
Ace high good. Wow.
That definitely helped her.
30.5, I think.
So glad I folded.
How much?
30,500.
Can you give me change for that, Maddie?
I say, man.
So how does that affect our chip leader? Just a
Um,
little ding.
I know. Get change here. Hey, big stack, can I get? Oh, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, it's kind of a. I mean,
Kind of a-
it's.
Sting maybe a little more than a
I
ding.
I think because Maddie has been so tight
Right.
in terms of her. Well, like she hasn't been tight in raising, but she doesn't like. She'll raise and then check down, very often. So it really
So
depends.
a little,
If she's
little
ready
more
to
loose
get,
passive then.
yeah, it really depends on how she views her stack now and how important she views her stack equity.
Right.
Because if she views her stack as I want to double up and be ahead of Jason,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm gonna take the lines that are more like variance based,
Right.
which then will actually end up being bad for Jason. But if she's more on the line of like now I have a big stack, I want to chill out and like maybe lock up top 3,
Mm-hmm.
then he can take even more advantage of that because she's gonna want to fold even more often. She's not gonna have ace 3, for example,
Right.
in that same shove spot.
Heads up, ladies.
Yeah, so I'd be raising a lot more hands. If I were Maddie in the big blind here, oh yeah, I would have shoved pre-flop. You really don't want to let a 7 big blind hand get free equity.
Right.
Queen 8 is just one of those hands that's very capable of shoving the spot because
That
you're
was destined.
again. I mean, if you see a limp, no one's really limping on 7 bigs
Right.
with good hands. So your Queen 8's going to deny a lot of equity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of it is just like, and it's really hard. This is one of the hardest part of
Oh
poker.
yeah.
Is like knowing, how many big blinds someone has and then like how important it is to deny the amount of equity that they can have, regardless of what your hand is.
Because there's only a certain amount of equity they can have with 7 bigs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everyone else is in the 30 tier.
Rather chip up now.
so they're in a more of a fold shove spot.
Yeah. like in this spot, Rudy is in a spot where he needs to fold or shove here, but I
Mhm.
feel like he'll raise more often. Looks like, yeah, I like a fold.
Yep.
And here I like a raise, but don't see the raise from King 7. This is where you definitely want to use your blockers as Jason,
Mhm.
but you can take a chill. It always depends on your goals, right? Like, at this point, Jason really could lock up a top 3 win. Oh, and here Charity just raising off of 7 bigs is definitely going to be overall not a tactic that you want to do. You really want to just shove. But it would have been the same thing anyway.
Now, does that smaller stack min raise or type, does that look super strong to people?
Again, I walk into that
I mean,
bullshit.
Instead of like, why aren't you shoving?
Twice.
yeah, I mean, sort of. It's close. I mean,
I
like,
have to go to an ATM.
it
Or
would
even-
really have to be like from if I were watching how she was playing, I'd be like no, but
Right.
Close. A little more. No, it works. Oh my god.
yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is that if you're raising, are you looking to fold?
Right.
Right. So if you're raising the 3 big blinds,
You're never folding.
yeah. So the thing is, if she's not folding, then she's allowing some hands to see equity.
Right.
Just like imagine Maddie, like she could have called with the Jack 8 there,
Right. And just saw.
and she would have flopped a straight.
Right.
Then what do you do with the Ace 4? You know, you just fold. You know,
Yeah. No,
with the
you're,
4 bigs.
Yep, you're right. So it's, yeah. So that the play is to get it in.
Yeah. Or you don't let Maddie possibly call it the Jack 8
Correct.
suited because she was thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been, I think it would have been the right play for Maddie to shove the Jack 8 suited there because she has 2 people who had 7 bigs.
Right.
That's 2 bounties.
2
that
bounties, right.
Yeah, and she would have got the 2 bounties.
Mm-hmm. So many nuances in this format.
It's super, well, it's also important position-wise, right? So, like, the later position, the worse hands you're going to need to be raising because there's less amount of
Players to get there.
players to get to, less ranges that you have to pass through.
Navigate, right.
He owes me 15 to out of the thing.
Yo, what's up, Jason? Nice to see you. Hope you like the commentary. I'm trying to make it helpful for people getting into poker, so.
Harder to remember because so many people. Everyone agree about it.
15 and 3 next hand, 2 to go.
Ooh, and we
Yep.
see Joey with the 10-7's definitely going to be an open.
He's like, obviously,
Wow, okay, wow. Okay, so we see that
This is dumbfounded. He doesn't know.
he's going more on the conservative
So
side,
now, yeah.
which is
As the
fine.
blinds are going up.
Yeah.
she's got both horses left.
Joey's going to be making smaller raises here. Yeah, 5K. This is
Definitely
basically
wants a
one of the
call.
hands. Yeah.
Double her up.
Or he wants a shove,
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of shoves.
especially with those smaller stacks.
I'm going to just call from Maddie. This is also another problem, like I was saying. You're just giving so much equity. Now you give Tim a good price to just call with the Jack 9 suited.
Mm-hmm.
You give Rudy a good price to just call the King 10 off. Whereas if you raise the Ace 8, you're
It
going
makes
to
it
get
way harder for them to call.
yeah, and you still have a lot of equity against a hand like Queens.
Mm-hmm.
Ace 8 pre-flop all in is only like 33% against
Right.
Queens, which really isn't bad. Oh, but we're going to see a fold from Rudy with the King 10. That is very surprising. I think that's a very, very, very surprising fold. And we see that,
Man, he's got a gut shot.
he's got a gut shot, but Tim would have flopped top pair, so he kind of,
Ugh.
he definitely dodged a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And this would have been a sick flop both ways. Wow, and Joey going for check. I'm not a fan of the check.
Seems like he missed the street to get some money in it.
Yeah, for sure. I would have liked. I mean, if you're against a flush, you can't fold your top set anyway. But again, it just goes up to the timing tells again. That's not a timing tell. That's
Or
more
the
like a timing
interest tell.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess not a tell. I should say, something I tell a lot of people because I see it a lot. Just take your time and think. Okay.
Right.
Like, am I gonna fold?
And that's one of my biggest flaws right now is
Yeah,
I'm making decisions way too quickly.
Yeah, time is important, right? Like you're making decisions for real money. You're
Right.
making, like in this case, the winner right now, I believe, would make like 2K.
Yeah, that's no
And-
joke.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, like, when you're thinking about every spot of value is so important.
Right.
Not at all. Behind on every street.
Don't forget don't, Matt, don't forget that OT.
All right, we got a new dealer coming in the box. Chris is back in.
that was kind of a shots fired there, huh?
When you're 100% three betting anything, you have to. Let's tell you what I have.
What are the blinds, Jay?
All right, so
Yeah, with the big blind being the big stack, it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
If we get any more
Turn
card
and
debt,
prove
I'm
me
gonna
and kill
return
Max.
cards. Like, this is insane. We have 3 now?
Yeah.
Ooh, and she has a really good hand here on the button. I'd like to see a bigger raise since you're raising into the big stack.
mm-hmm.
He's pretty much going to defend every hand. Wow. Okay.
Only 7 of a shorthand.
Yeah, he's definitely taking a lighter approach now. I wonder what's got him on the
Right.
folding side. I mean, obviously he was in spots that wouldn't have worked out, but
Thank you.
still would like to see a little more. Just like raising in general, or maybe calling, but I think it's fine. He's played really well so far. A lot of the times, you want to take like a little chill break,
Mm-hmm.
especially like after having to be in so many flips.
Hey, can I reload some of these to 100% match the stack? Or you just have to buy in.
Yeah,
200?
and down to 7 too. So
What's only got 122 or something like that. It's only 1,200 more. Okay. No big deal, right?
Charity's going to be often shoving these
It's like
fives.
a good EV spot.
Yeah, with 6 bigs.
Yeah. She has a huge incentive to steal the blinds here. She does shove her last buy-in too, so it can be. Maddie's looking down. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would call this one, but
No,
No.
he kind of tried to throw up. I'm just going where he throws up after.
there's just too many people to act.
Right.
You never know when you're going to get all of them.
I might call if I was on the big blind.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she ships it, I'm folding. I can't beat her in a pot. It's impossible. Every time I'm behind, it doesn't even matter. King, jack, and diamonds.
I don't even know why.
Get it in with
you.
Get it in with aces versus her aces. Yeah. Run out. She runs the flush.
I don't know why you were either.
Yeah, really taking her time. It's fine. I do like when you take time in these spots. Wow.
Can't be that hard.
Looks like she's gonna. I mean, I do like a raise if she does get in there.
You are not a nit. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna get it. She wants
The
to
knit is
deny
right
everyone
here.
else behind her.
Normally.
Yeah, if she is gonna get in there, I would like to see a shove. Then Jason can't really call if anything. But a lot of the hands that you're gonna be up against, you're not in a great place with the ace deuce.
Mm-hmm.
You're by a long shot, not a nit.
The 2 really makes it really bad.
Right.
Ooh, she's
Wow.
doubling me up.
Okay.
Just a call though.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a dangerous spot to be in, but doesn't get any traction from Joey. So
Seriously, you guys didn't even, all that time y'all didn't look at your hands? Really?
we are gonna see a central flip, most likely.
Is that not normal?
That's funny. Alright,
I mean, the comment took longer. Me assessing the comment took longer than.
I'm okay with this.
I bet you are. Pretty good situation for you.
All right, so we got 5s are all in.
As long as you don't
Against
roll
ace
an
two
ace off on
suited.
the flop, we're good. Ace. No ace. No
I
ace.
believe Charity is
No ace.
in
No
for her
ace. No ace.
3rd bullet too, so this would be an elimination.
Yep, she would be out if she lost this one. Wow.
Oh, there's the hearts.
Yeah, and a lot of backdoors as well.
Yep.
It's just not been my night.
There's the back door.
Yeah.
Picks up more fucking
It's now
outs.
in the
Kidding
front
me?
door.
And there's the back door.
There it is.
That's the more hurtful way of losing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wait, you loaned me that so you can take it from you.
Another one bites the dust.
Nice. You're not wrong. And that's usually the plan.
Yeah, and hopefully Maddie can use this advantage
Right, to get back on track now.
to get back on track. Yeah, it's definitely on the, you know, if she's making more calls like that in a spot like that, it's going to be a little hard for her going forward with the, just like with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the funny thing is, after all the bounties I have, I'm only in this tournament for like 100. I'm in a better mood now. I love you. 6.5 big. Nice.
I know.
I am adding stuff. That or yeah, I might even break that jam.
But I'm glad to see her win. She's a great person.
Yeah. And again, she's new to the game, so there's going to be mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, she's probably in the same boat I'm in. But it's great that she's willing to get in there and mix it up.
Yeah. No,
And she's going to take this as a learning experience. I mean,
Yeah.
this is sometimes you got to pay to learn.
it's the biggest way to learn is playing these things and then watching it and understanding, like, trying your best to, like, understand, you know, where you might have gone wrong and, you know, am I thinking about blinds the way I should be thinking about them? Am I thinking about the dynamics of stack sizes?
Mm-hmm.
Because now she has a stack where Jason can't just run over.
Right.
Ooh, and we're going to see a all in, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of the
9 bigs, he only has one move. Unless, see, this is where, do they do that little min-raise thing? And
Yeah.
it just looks so super strong.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a shove from Ace Queen because you really don't want to have to fold. But,
Right.
But I mean, it's, you know, it really comes down to preference. Like, if you like to take, if you're okay with taking flips, which you really
Right.
need to be for
In
tournaments.
this, in this format for sure.
And Timmy's a primarily cash game pro, you know, so.
And they're really good with it, that.
Yeah, so like, the thing about cash game ranges is they become even more tight because you can just play for 10 hours.
Right. Pay the time and wait for good hands.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to say good looks. I'm trying to be nice, but then I look at them and I'm like, I'm not saying anything. I don't really need it.
Well,
So what does Sal do with his 9 bigs?
This is very close. This is either a shove or fold for sure.
you're basically saying.
But I do like the fold.
Yeah.
When Timmy raises, I like the fold
Mm-hmm.
Timmy looked happy when you called.
because Timmy's been more on the tight side.
That's no, Jim's not happy now.
I'm never going anywhere. No.
Yeah, and you can see even in this spot, and this is why the other times with like ace-8 and stuff like that where people could jam instead of just calling, it's because even if you're in this spot, look, ace-queen versus queens, and ace-queen
Yeah.
still has 34%.
Exactly, yeah.
That's insane, right? Like,
Not run bad, and you just
people always say, oh, you only had 4 outs, but the thing is, no, you don't have 4
Yeah.
outs because the board can run various ways.
I've never run bad that long. Although Daniel Negreanu's been running bad for 9
This
years.
time hold, the queen's hold.
Yeah.
He did. He won a $3 million one, but
Come on back, horsey. He won a bigger end one, so that's good.
Rudy's taking back his little unicorn. Who's ready to use it? No need.
What do you got left? Like 7?
Now it leaves Tim short.
You have an ace out?
Oh yeah, Tim does have another unicorn.
Unicorn. Yeah.
I smell precarious amounts of
Yeah, that was a big pot for Rudy. And we're gonna see a lot more all-ins going forward for sure.
Yeah, as the blinds go up.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We've been talking about Maddie, but she's doing well. She still has her 2 rebuys.
Yes, you are.
Hasn't had to dig into them,
Yeah.
So that means.
and she's still got a good amount of big blinds.
Yeah, no, and I talk to Maddie a lot. I hope she, you know, looks at the stream and is like, oh, okay, you know, that's probably I can change and stuff. But no, Maddie's a really cool person. I'm glad I'm really glad she's doing well in this one. Hope she continues to do well. Yeah, this is an awkward spot for Rudy.
I didn't read all the rules. Are you allowed to win 2 hands in a row?
I like the raise. That's good.
How about the sizing?
Sizing is I think it's good. I mean, if I'm gonna take this large sizing, I probably just shove. But you know, it can still be scary, like to shove.
Mm.
But the thing is, like now that you've made it 22K, are you gonna fold to 41K over?
No.
I mean, you can, but the problem is like,
Then why did you make the big raise in
Yeah.
the beginning?
I think the problem that people have is just the bounty aspect and understanding that kind of aspect makes you. But the thing is, if everyone's not playing like towards
PKO
bounty, like,
optimal, yeah, bounty.
yeah, if everyone's not looking to like get the bounties, then it ends up also being that they're gonna have tighter rangers, which ends up being that you don't have to call as wide as often. Wow,
Well,
we've seen these flops where people just drawing dead.
dead, yep.
Yeah.
So Timothy will be out of.
He has one more unicorn.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said
Whether
eliminated.
or not he
Oh,
uses it.
okay. I see the little yellow unicorn. Oh, he's putting it in. He's gonna be done.
Yeah, he's done. GG's to Timothy.
Good game, Timothy. Now he'll go out and play the 1-2-5 game and make 10K.
Yeah, now the dynamics are going to get crazy because this is going to be based on what kind of Maddie is looking for. Since she's second largest stack, again, going back to, does she want to get to ensure top 3?
Or is she trying to get to the win?
Yeah, because top 3, third would make 20% of the
Right.
buy-in, or of the prize pool, which 20% we've had, pretty good amount. So 20% is at the very least like 600 right now.
Yeah, I would think.
Maybe 30 seconds. After 30, I'm keep going.
So when you can lock that up.
Yeah, you're locking up a win.
Yeah.
And us fragile young poker career players, a win is a nice thing to lock up.
Yeah.
It's a little feather in the cap.
Ooh, and there's gonna be a shove on the button here.
Yep.
Oh, and Rudy
wakes up with ace king.
Wow, we've seen some brutal spots.
All right, so we're gonna have ace king against king jack. King jack is at risk.
That's a tough call there, Rudy.
I believe he has
Rudy
one
wins
more.
this. This is gonna be a big. He's gonna have a decent chip stack too.
Oh yeah. No, this is a really big moment.
They're starting. The chip stacks are starting to get closer.
Yeah.
When in the beginning we had Jason with all the chips, now they're getting closer.
Ooh, and
Dry
that's not
flop.
a good flop.
No, dry flop.
Not a good
Not-
turn.
And not a good river.
Yeah. But Sal does have one more if he chooses to use it.
Nope. See, and this is where I'm thinking with the strategy too, is just they got all the chips. So if you're going to give me another buy-in.
It's
what is my
close.
stack worth?
Yeah. So in that spot, Rudy was very unlucky.
Right.
I think the reason that we've seen more people leaving on the third buy-in is just because I think we've seen a lot of coolers. Like the
Could
ace
be.
king versus king jack.
Right. Little frustration.
Ace queen versus queens.
Yep.
And if you don't know the percentages of ace queen versus queens pre-flop, you're probably thinking, "Wow, I'm pretty much like 10% to win."
Yeah, and you're not.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
But like you might feel that way. So there's a lot,
Down to 4.
You're all in. How about you just put your chips where we can.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to get super interesting because Joey very much the short stack, but still has 34K.
Yeah.
Less than 6 bigs now.
He's got the 8 bigs with 34K. Maddie's got 21 bigs.
The thing is, there's some comfort in having your choices minimized. That's true.
But Joey has a big bounty stack, right? At
Yeah,
least a
he
couple
does.
knockouts he got.
Yeah. And you can see now as the blinds have gone up pretty high, Rudy has only 26 bigs.
Right.
Even though it looks like he has a lot more. I would like to see a 3x raise. That's what tends to be with the size you want to go. Blind. Wow, okay. And so that's kind of showing that he values top 3 a lot more.
Yeah.
And you can
now we're down to, like I said, one more elimination and you're in the money.
Yeah.
So does everybody tighten up here? Except I would think the professional players are going to get more aggressive.
It's close. It's very close. Basically, Joey's in a spot where he can take 2 options. He can hope that someone gets. Here's the thing: if Rudy Jason or Maddie lose their stack, I don't think that they'd have the courage to go on to do another rebuy.
Right.
Because it's in your head, like, I just lost a 100K stack. So his goal might be survive until someone loses, and perhaps he can turn, a profit. But the big blind ante is gonna change that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he's gonna be paying. Ooh, wow!
Okay, this is gonna be some fireworks.
And I'm curious to see how Jason plays it, because he can play it as a call and he can play it as a raise.
Or a jam.
And a jam is gonna be, and I think he's gonna get Rudy to fold.
Yeah, Rudy wants third place. It seems he wants to get in the cash. But this is pivotal right here.
Yeah, I mean, if Rudy were to call, then that'd mean that whoever won this would be the winner of this event. Pretty much.
We're gonna have a dominant chip lead. So that's what he's thinking right now. Got to be thinking, okay, so it's 94,000 to call. If I win this, I'm locking first and second up. I mean, it would be really hard not to.
Yeah, I mean, in this format, your opponent's going to do this with ace jack.
Mm-hmm.
Your opponent's going to do this maybe with ace 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else you're pretty much flipping against.
Right.
So in this format, you win this flip, you're really trying to get first place, which is going to be a lot more in bounties and everything. So
right. So if you're analyzing Rudy's spot right now, what are you thinking? Like,
I think his EV goes down as his stack is worth the top 3. So it becomes a lot worse for him to call, just because he could be against ace king. Ace king is one of the hands that's going to be shoving this spot.
Right.
Versus so in this spot, he's 50% to win.
So if you even had
the cards call,
if you had the cards face up, would you still call?
Holy, that is a call. Wow, that's crazy. This is dictating the whole tournament,
pretty much.
Most likely. Gosh, both players do not want to see either of the other players' hands. Yeah,
this is what makes this exciting.
No, yeah, I mean, I think if I'm Rudy, I probably fold this spot. But if I'm trying to win, then I just call. I think I'd like to take better spots down the line. But ace queen suited, just on the cusp, it's so close.
It's such a flip. I mean,
it's so close.
It's 48-52.
And this is kind of what I'm going back to Joey. This is kind of what he was hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a cooler for either player.
Right.
With the bounty, how we flop a 9? Good.
Oh.
And
wow.
The queen hits it.
But some backdoors.
Yep.
Backdoor spades.
Still some life.
I don't mind, except for when they're asking a king when they have pocket king. 3 clubs. Jack spades.
Oh, I guess Rudy.
Oh,
my gosh.
my
and Rudy's
Lord.
drawing dead.
Oh, 2 outed. We've seen some heartbreak today.
We've seen a lot of heartbreak. That is brutal, guys. That is brutal. You see the queen, you're happy, but wow. And Jason is just running super well.
And look at that bounty stack. Whoop.
And Joey got what he wanted,
he got himself into third.
Good game. Good luck.
That kind of plays itself, man.
And now we are
brutal for Rudy.
3-handed. Well, they're all in the money.
That's the pocket? Oh, you
But Jason has 240K now. No more rebuys. He's the dominant chip leader.
Jason has played really well. Yeah, of course he's gotten very lucky, but he's been playing very well.
You got to get lucky. That's all I keep hearing from you pros. If you don't win flips, you don't win tournaments.
Yes, tournaments are very much. But the thing is that's specifically when you get to certain points. The thing is that we've seen how an aggressive player or a player who knows where they should be aggressive and when they shouldn't be, we've seen how they could take advantage of some of the folds and calls that people are making.
The weaker players, and the players that are not as aggressive.
Well, yeah, and also you can play any way you want in poker, and that's the kind of the beauty of it is I know people who have never looked at charts, who have never studied, who are professionals, and they do well, and so you can always play any way you want.
Did you see the video with Patrick Antonius?
Oh yeah,
I just call.
yeah, the Jack 4 suited.
Yeah, he's like, I just call.
Or no, was it Jack 4 or Jack?
I forget
2?
what it was, but
He had
they were
like,
making fun of him, and he's like, yeah, charts, whatever. He's like, I just call.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So now
Yeah.
they're going to just stack everything up, get everything back in order, and get ready for three-handed play.
And Will Jaffe is a really funny comedian.
Yeah, oh my God, he is so funny.
Yeah.
That video he put out, I still go back and watch it and laugh.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a few-minute break here. Again, let's remind everyone about the tournament coming up here at Rounders, starting on the Holiday Bounty, 200,000 prize pool, December 9th to the 18th. Satellites will be running, I believe, Friday at 2 p.m. starts the first $25 satellite. You get 12,000 in chips, 10-minute levels, and then there's going to be another one.
We can't lose Maddie.
When is the main? So the actual first event will be December 14th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. The 200K bounty series. You get 40,000 in chips, 30-minute levels. I love 30-minute levels.
Yeah, 30-minute
I
levels
hate
are
20-minute
great.
levels. You know, to me, 30-minute levels
Yeah.
are really good structures. 30-minute levels. Dave and Eric have put the way the blind levels go up, from 100 to start all the way through. You can look on Poker Atlas to see those.
Oh wow, Jason folding the ace deuce offsuit here. Very surprising. He should definitely be taking his stack here with the ace two offsuit and use that as a raise a lot more often.
Mm-hmm. So how long do you think this is going to go?
It really depends on aggression. It really depends on, does Jason
push?
Yeah. And with seeing that he folds the ace deuce suited, it could be long, it could be really fast,
Yeah.
But it really depends on definitely, how does Maddie take it? Does she want to lock up second, which would be 30% payout of the field?
Mm-hmm.
And Joey's happy because he's pretty much free rolling at this point.
Yeah, he's been quietly just getting there.
Yeah. Sometimes you can quietly make money.
Yes. I mean, he's got 6 bigs.
Yeah, so
Maddie's got 21, and Jason has the rest of the chips.
Depending how Maddie plays this is going to dictate.
Now, what would you do? I mean, would you play passively to lock up second with the other guy that only has 6 bigs?
Maybe not for 10%. I think in this spot, this is a good example of a raise that I would definitely be taking more of a 12K than a. I'd like to take 12K rather than 17K because you're just kind of setting yourself up. Ooh, and she snap checks back again. I'd love for her to take a little more time on it.
I'm sure you'll have a conversation with her after the stream.
Yeah.
Since you guys are friends.
Yeah. No,
and she really values your opinion too. So.
That's no, she can definitely do really well. I mean I hope she does well here.
I mean we talked off stream about being a female in poker and how does she feel about being in a male dominated game and she gave me some good insight of how she thinks about it and it's great to see more women getting involved in poker because it's not a physical sport.
Yeah.
I mean there's no difference between a woman player and a male player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for a while, the best player in the world was female.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see a shove from the 9-8 here. It's a great hand to just put it in. You're getting a lot more incentive with the big blind ante to do things like shove this hand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
He raised,
he limp folded, which yeah.
He might just trying to see where he's at.
Yeah.
See what Joey's gonna do.
Yeah, it can be a product of not looking at like blinds too. Like not realizing like he has 6 blinds and there's a big blind ante, so like.
And that is what Drew and I have been working on is really knowing your opponent's chip stacks.
Yeah.
And knowing how powerful that stack is worth. What is
Huge.
it worth?
Pretty sure you're free rolling too.
Free rolling? It's irrelevant. I'm in the
goes all in
position
with the king jack, which
And he's
Definitely
still
good.
40%.
yeah, and he's probably gonna get called here.
Yeah.
Does get called.
And the way he's running, he's probably going to win. If you take the way he's running right now,
Classic flip,
classic flip. Yep.
and it would be it's a really good dynamic for Jason. If actually, it might be okay for him for Joey to double up for Jason, because then Maddie's in a rough
In a
spot.
rough spot, right?
Yeah, so you can just take advantage of that and kind of whittle them down.
not playing
Because then if Joey doubles up, he never wants to really bust next.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up becoming a really weird dynamic.
Son of a-
I'm never folding.
But yeah, Jason has run really well.
Three-way, like the nuts.
I like his play overall. I think he's played really well.
Right.
You played almost all of it perfect.
Ooh, and clean flop for the ace-3.
So who's to-
Yep. Mm.
And doesn't, wow.
We're almost expecting him to win.
Yeah, I really was.
We're almost expecting him to win. So now he's got 12 bigs, 13, 14 bigs.
I really thought we were going to see a king on the river there.
Yeah.
1,026, 10, and 14.
All right, so Joey's got 15 bigs now.
Yeah, this becomes really weird for Maddie.
Right.
This becomes,
She was
you know,
praying.
yeah, it becomes a really weird ICM situation.
So if you scoop, you probably get like 1,400 or so with all the bounties.
I'm just
At this
happy I
point,
got
though,
all this fun.
with the way that you can't chop, and also that the progressive bounties are so important, the ladder doesn't really matter as much as like just
The bounties.
winning, yeah.
Yeah, no,
But an extra 10% is probably about an extra 600. So
Right. It's not incremental.
Yeah.
Still decent money.
all
All
in,
in.
wow.
And a fold.
And you can see like the value of their chip stacks ends up. And Joey is a very studied player. I played with him across the country,
the bounties is
and
35%.
he actually, probably knows his push fold
Fold.
charts.
Yeah.
So
Really well. Because he's a tournament player.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he knows he's to shove the ace four off there rather than raise.
She set
But
me
it's still
up.
very daunting, and it is also still a close spot.
Check
As
raise.
a shorter stack, he
The
definitely
middle
wants to be
set,
shoving a little more.
Like, and I bet like nothing.
I mean,
I
you're
bet
pretty
nothing.
much
There was, like,
shoving
10,000
any
in the
ace?
pot. I bet like
Yeah,
14%
most
of
in that
aces.
spot. Three-handed?
Ace 2 and ace 3 get a little weird, but
Right.
still.
And to be honest, like I got in
The
my
thing
own
is, if
head
you
because I was
ace
thinking, if you
ace deuce
raise,
and
I
ace
was
3
gonna
aren't
rip it.
doing that
I
well
shouldn't have
anyway.
called. But I was gonna rip it. You know what I mean? But then you ripped it, and I'm like, I don't know what hand this could be. I'm like, why would you rip? Why would you rip 8s or 9s right here? That's exactly what I was thinking. So I was like, all right, probably decent live and ahead sometimes.
We don't get any more breaks.
And then I was like, I'm never ahead here. She's never ripping ace king.
Yeah, it's gonna end very soon.
Yeah, now that stacks are a lot closer between Maddie and Joey,
Right.
this ends up being
That's what we're waiting.
really strong. Like Jason can raise a lot more hands,
Mhm.
although I don't think he's wanting to take the lines. Oh, we're seeing an all in from Joey with the queen 9. Oh, and he gets snap called. I don't see what she has. Pocket
Tens.
tens. Wow.
I don't.
Now they just got to hold.
Yeah, and this is not a flip.
This
But
is not a flip.
Yeah, me too.
still, I mean,
Of course, then I have to play
he's gonna
Still
win
got
almost
30% equity.
Yeah, 1 out of 4 times he's
All I
gonna
know
win
is
here,
really
or
have to take a piss. Put a
a little more than
Put it
1 out of 4.
down.
Now would be your time.
Put a jack on the flop in case there's a 10 on the flop. Put a jack on the flop in case there's a 10 on the flop.
Asking for a jack on the flop.
Or
And we've seen the best hand hold pretty often tonight.
Yeah.
67?
Her tens is blocking his straight draws too.
57 but
I didn't know I had that much. I just went all in for 20. I thought I had 45.
come on.
Maddie's like, come on, hold.
Have my unicorn back.
Yeah, and if she doesn't hold, she still has a
Yeah.
run-upable stack.
Mhm.
We just saw Joey get up from, the exact same
Yeah.
stack. 9 on the flop. Not what he needs.
Got back the
But
flush draw.
yeah.
That's not it.
Ooh,
No.
close. It's paint, but it's not there.
And he's
wow.
eliminated.
And Maddie gets all his bounties
Yep.
plus.
Yep.
That's Maddie must be feeling really good.
Yes.
And now she has similar stack.
So she's going to have.
All right.
All right. There we go. There's the Holiday Bounty Tournament, December 14th to the 19th. 9 day one flights, $200 bounties on day 2, and $50 bounties, I believe, on day 1. So anytime you knock someone out, you get a bounty. There's a little different structure. So first day or any time in the beginning, if it's level 1 and you knock somebody out, you get a $50 bounty. On day 2, the bounties increase to $200 a bounty. So that's kind of a cool structure.
Yeah, I love the structure. I love Super Bounty. There's a turn in WSOP that's Super Bounty. It's
Is it?
pretty much the same thing.
You're going to have to coach me then on this bounty thing that's coming up because I don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances in it for sure. It's a completely different game.
Getting the chips all rearranged.
And I believe they're going to take a little break.
Little break cut. Okay. Yeah. Moving everybody to the seats that are closer.
Yeah, just a quick break.
Get the bucket.
1 second. 1 second, guys. Gonna get the mic real quick.
Me and Maddie. You and Maddie?
All right, back. Yeah, so again, guys, we're doing these melee tournaments every other week or so. Yeah, these are going to be progressive. So right now, last week we did $125 buy-in. This week we're doing $225. I believe next week we're doing $525. Yeah,
Yeah, for high stakes week. That's just massive.
Yeah, no, insane. And you can see second place is making $610, first place $1,020. That doesn't include the bounties. So
Right.
whoever
just the prize
wins,
fund.
yeah. So whoever wins is going to make something like 2.3K, 2.4K,
Mhm.
around that.
Shopping and then just playing.
What are the blinds?
No, we're just gonna eat.
But yeah, I mean, both players are definitely going to be happy. They've locked up wins. I think both of them are either on one rebuy or no rebuy.
I don't think Maddie used her rebuy at all. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's great.
She navigated her stack really well.
oh, okay. Do we have to leave out here still?
Yeah, just leave.
Three. Oh.
Yeah, and Jason used one, but Jason has gotten a lot of bounties so far. With taking out Joey, Maddie did get an influx of bounties because he had like 2 or 3.
But now half of them go to the stack and half go in her pocket.
Yeah,
So now
right,
she had to put half of those up against.
yeah. So right,
Somebody's going to get a massive amount of bounties right now.
Oh yeah, just like John George
Uh-huh.
when he won the other event, I think he pocketed $750 just from winning from the
Right.
bounties,
Uh-huh.
and that was at the 125.
That's a
So,
level. You're right. So it does
yeah.
double.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction on a 27 big blind stack to a 26 big blind stack?
Wow. And oh, Maddie instantly calls. Wow, he shoves the jack. Whoa. That's insane. Jack
What
deuce
just
off the-
happened?
What? That was instant. Guys, that was instant. No, literally first hand.
What's going on here?
We have a flip to win the tournament first hand. Oh my gosh, guys. I did not see that coming, I must say. Oh my gosh, Maddie put that chip in before he put his chip in. Oh my gosh.
She didn't even think about calling with Queen 7.
That was wow. And he snap jammed it in. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, we got like a $2,000 flip here.
Basically, that's what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
flipping for the tournament.
Instantly, no question. She didn't even. She was like, "Yep, I'm in there."
She's fearless.
Fearless. I love it, and she's ahead by a lot. This is
Yeah.
a great spot to be in.
I mean, she's 60, almost 70%.
I'm not usually biased, but Maddie is one of the coolest dealers here.
I don't know. You sound pretty biased right now, sir.
I need fucking 80 cards.
Wow.
That I did not see coming.
I never in my lifetime would ever see
I was
it.
just asking you how long we're going to be here. An hour?
I would have said possibly. Honestly, I would have said possibly an hour. I would have said it would have gone raise, call, check, rate, bet, fold constantly. But no, we just get a rip off the bat.
Maybe they have lunch dates or somewhere.
Guys, what do y'all think about that? If anyone's in the, I know we got 30 watching. If anyone sees, what do you think about that snap call? That is quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just getting a quick count of the chips, making sure that she does have him indeed covered. I don't think I've ever seen this.
I think he covers her, right? No, she covers him?
No, she covers him by 4 bigs.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen this in my poker career. A call so fast, a shove so fast with Jack 2 and Queen 7, but I love it. They're going to town.
Come on.
Look at that pot.
You have to get the Queen 7, right?
All right.
And this would be, I believe, one of Maddie's first
wins, yeah, I would think. And she hits a 7 right in the window.
Wow, but with the backdoor hard
But
draw,
the hard draw.
and still he can hit a jack. Oh, and she just has to fade one more card. And Maddie did it.
Does it.
Wow, congratulations, Maddie. That's insane.
Very good job.
Amazing. From like really low, in spots where she could lose, to just outright taking it down with the Queen 7 on the first hand of heads up. That might be one of the fastest heads up.
Yeah, ever.
And it's so nice to see one of the coolest dealers in town
and Timmy's
a
there
female poker player.
there, her boyfriend to congratulate her. That's awesome. Gonna take a picture.
Let's go, Maddie.
That'll be on her socials. That's awesome.
You deserve it, Maddie.
You do. Great job.
And kudos to Jason. I think he played really well throughout the whole thing.
Well, it was super fun hanging out with you, Ethan. I appreciate you letting me share the booth time with you.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So
it was a great one to see. The Holiday Bounty guys, again, coming up December 14th to 19th. It's going to be a $300 buy-in with $50 bounties for the first day, 200 bounties for the second day, 30 and 40-minute levels. It's going to be a great one. 9 day one flights. And look at this graphic that Drew made. So cute.
Yeah.
So,
having a snowball fight. That's Drew.
All right, guys, thank you for watching.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out, hitting the like button. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're going to be here Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays for streams, so come watch in the future. Have a good one. From Ethan and Paul, team here at Drew, Chad, everyone who helps us get through all the dealers. Thank you again. Have a good one, guys.